Chapter 412 Fiend Celestial, Changing Fate. Chapter 412 Fiend Celestial, Changing Fate. 30 years later, when his consciousness returned to the Khanate cave abode, Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. The cultivation difficulty of the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm far exceeded his imagination. Although his absorption speed was still very fast, he did not accumulate much cultivation. He was far from the mid-stage Zenith Heaven realm. Hanju had no choice but to look at the Grand Unity aspect. The Grand Unity aspect was the easiest way to increase his strength now. Although it was very safe in the Tao field, the immeasurable calamity was still ongoing. Hanju had to increase his strength as much as possible. He began to cultivate his second Dharma idol. The second Dharma idol was different from the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial. Its power was extremely sinister and terrifying. Hanju was very cautious when cultivating this Dharma idol, afraid that he would suffer a backlash. It took him nearly 20 years to cultivate this Dharma idol. The 9 Fiend Celestial contained the power of Yin, able to devour souls and techniques. It was extremely powerful. If mastered, one could even devour the great Tao upon greater mastery. After Hanju succeeded, he immediately entered the simulation trial. Both Dharma idols appeared at the same time. No one below the mid-stage Golden Immortal Realm could defeat him. Even if they were at the late-stage Golden Immortal Realm, Hanju could still fight. After reaching the Zenith Heaven Realm, other than Dharmic powers, what was truly tested were mystical powers and Dharma treasures. Every Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal had their own powerful Dharma treasure, but not everyone had a heavenly Tao supreme treasure like Hanju. Too strong. There are only 2 Dharma idols now. When I have 100, won't I be invincible in the Zenith Heaven realm? Hanju was extremely excited. He continued to comprehend the third Dharma idol. However, he was stunned to find that he could no longer comprehend the third Dharma idol. The Grand Unity aspect seemed to have closed the door to him, as the huge quantity of memories vanished. What happened? Could it be that he could only cultivate 2 Dharma idols from the Grand Unity aspect? Hanju sensed carefully. The inherited memories of the Grand Unity aspect were still there, but they sealed themselves in the depths of his soul. He couldn't forcefully open them as a strange force blocked him. Hanju's heart tightened and he asked in his mind, could it be that the Grand Unity aspect is a trap of the sages? Everything given by the system is 100% harmless. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju laughed at himself. He was really too cautious. Then I want to know, why can't I continue the inheritance? Hanju asked in his mind. Cultivation is insufficient. This mystical power contains a great Tao restriction. Hanju suddenly understood. So that was the case. It seemed that cultivating the Grand Unity aspect was not feasible. He had to increase his cultivation first. Hanju sighed. He could only start the long and boring process of devouring negative karma. At this moment, he realized why those Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were so unrestrained. Even cultivating the stellar primordial body was so troublesome, let alone the others. Another 10 years passed. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yin while checking his emails. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your disciple Su Qi has devoured the inauspicious evil, and the power of misfortune has transformed. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has reversed the fate of the heavenly court and revived your good friend Divine General. The providence of the heavenly court has begun to revive. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by human cultivators. X1222287. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure and was severely injured. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun has entered the deity realm of the ruins of End. Your disciple Long Hao has created a heavenly Tao mystical power that can shock the world and make ghosts and gods weep. Hanju was shocked to see that Su Qi devoured the inauspicious evil. This kid seemed to have embarked on an evil path and was becoming stronger. No matter how he looked at it, Su Qi looked like an evil villain. The Dark Forbidden Lord had a successor. As for Feng Liang, he could actually reverse the fate of the heavenly court. What kind of method was this? In any case, Hanju was frightened. People who died could be revived by him? Could this kid be the reincarnation of the Tao ancestor? The more Hanju thought about it, the more he felt that it was suspicious. I want to know Feng Liang's most hidden true identity, Hanju asked in his mind. 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? So expensive. Hanju cursed silently. Why did everyone around him have a powerful background? Could it be that a huge hand was pushing all of this? Hanju gritted his teeth and chose to continue. Feng Liang. Rank 3 Immortal Emperor. Successor of the Tao ancestor. Master of the Heavenly Court. The Tao ancestor preached the Tao to the heavens and distributed providence for the children of the world. Because Feng Liang kept rising and had great karma with you, he was chosen by the Tao ancestor to be his successor. Tao ancestor's successor? So impressive? Hanju was shocked. Why was it still related to him? The Tao ancestor was paying attention to him? It was not only the Tao ancestor. There were also Nuwa, Empress Hutu Sage Jinan, Ancestor Shitian and others. Hanju discovered that he was targeted by many sages. Most importantly, these sages did not directly target him. Instead, they used others to approach him. Could it be because he had transmigrated through the primordial chaos? The more Hanju thought about it, the more likely it was. If the sages wanted to harm him, they would definitely hate him. So far, the sages had only paid a little attention to him. That made sense. Sages looked down on the myriad worlds in the universe. How could they easily develop emotions towards some insignificant living being? Most importantly, the sages did not know where he was hiding. Hanju didn't have to worry at all. After thinking about this, Hanju felt relieved. No matter what, with Feng Liang's identity as the Tao ancestor's successor, he should be able to survive in the future. This calamity is really becoming more and more interesting. Even the Tao ancestor is involved. Hanju thought silently. Thinking about it now, it was a joke that Jade Emperor Zhou Yin wanted to eliminate the Tao ancestor. It was even more ridiculous for Zhu Tu to challenge Nuwa. Everything was within the sage's plans. Wait, could this change be related to me? Hanju thought of this and was terrified. He was also very helpless. Was this fate? Even sages couldn't escape from it? Heavenly Court Imperial Garden. Feng Liang sat in the courtyard and drank with the Divine General. Feng Liang smiled and asked, "How do you feel?" The Divine General sighed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. You're truly remarkable. I've never heard of such a mystical power." He wasn't flattering Feng Liang. The fact that his soul was revived was unimaginable. Feng Liang's face was a little pale as he smiled and said, "Among the 3 great generals, I trust you the most. The Heavenly God General is unfathomable. The Martial God General is anxious for quick success. Don't act recklessly in the future. I will arrange a new identity for you." "Your Majesty can decide," the Divine General said seriously. He changed the topic and asked, "How's the previous Heavenly Emperor?" Feng Liang smiled and said, "Don't worry, he's fine. It seems that the Heavenly Emperor did not misjudge you. You're so loyal. If you become the Heavenly Emperor, it will also be a blessing for the Heavenly Court." The Divine General shook his head and said, "I know myself. I'm suitable for battle and not leadership." Feng Liang smiled and did not say anything else. At this moment, the sky suddenly changed color. Purple light filled the sky and strange phenomena appeared. Heavenly flowers scattered and 3 flowers gathered at the top. It was dazzling. The Divine General frowned and muttered. Another Zenith Heaven appeared. Feng Liang asked, "Do you want to become a Zenith Heaven cultivator?" Hearing this, the Divine General looked at him in surprise, not knowing what he meant. Feng Liang said calmly, "Although I'm only an immortal emperor, I have a way to help you quickly become a Zenith Heaven cultivator. However, you will also pay a tragic price." Chapter 413 Fighting Great 9 Heavens, Invasion of the Evil Creatures. Chapter 413 Fighting Great 9 Heavens, Invasion of the Evil Creatures. Feng Liang's words made the Divine General fall into deep thought. He finally understood why Feng Liang revived him. This was the true reason. However, when he thought of Jade Emperor Zhou Yin, the Divine General burned with anger. He had to take revenge. "All right, I'm willing," the Divine General replied in a low voice. Feng Liang revealed a pale smile and said, "Don't worry, I won't harm you. Zenith Heaven is a realm that most living beings can never reach in their lives. However, this process is a little long and needs 1,000 years." The divine general nodded. He knew that it was true. Although he was the heavenly general with the greatest contributions in the heavenly court, he knew that he was too far away from the Zenith Heaven realm. He didn't even have the confidence to become a Zenith Heaven cultivator by his own strength. After all, how many Zenith Heavens did the heavenly court have? 20 years later, in the Khanate cave abode, Hanju stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. As long as Jade Emperor Zhou Yan did not die, he would not be at ease. Until today, Hanju only cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. With fewer and fewer enemies, he cherished them even more. Of course, it was best if there were no enemies. 5 days later, Hanju was about to continue cultivating when the strange deity came in front of him and kept wandering, as if it wanted to bring him to a place. Hanju hesitated. He could read the strange deity's emotions. This fellow wanted to bring him away from Hidden Sect Island. What a joke! It was so dangerous outside. How could he go out? Hanju pressed down the strange deity and gestured for it not to go out. The strange deity stubbornly continued urging him to go out. Hanju found it annoying and imprisoned it in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Thinking for a moment, Hanju used the simulation trial to detect the powerful enemies around the Dao field. There had to be something that could make the strange deity so agitated. It better not be a living thing. Great Nine Heavens. Cultivation unknown disciple of a sage. Supremacy of the Chan School. Unknown cultivation level. A pseudo-sage. Another disciple of a sage. The Chan school was indeed impressive. Hanju had always felt that the Chan school was unfathomable. Previously, they had even invited all the geniuses in the immortal world to gather. They had deep foundations, and even the Heavenly Emperor often personally visited them. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju waited patiently. After failing to detect Great Nine Heavens, Hanju began the simulation trial. An hour later, Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. This fellow was quite something. Hanju tried his best, but could only barely reach a draw. Not only was this fellow remarkable, but his Dharma treasure was also very strong. Fortunately, Hanju had the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Hanju decided to use Great Nine Heavens as his target in the future. Although the other party was strong, it was very difficult to kill him. Hanju's goal was to kill him instantly. After Great Nine Heavens left, the strange deity calmed down. Hanju let it out. Then he asked curiously, what made the strange deity so agitated just now? 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Seeing such a high lifespan price, it must be something big. Inferior strange deity, unknown existence. It has inherited the providence of a chaotic fiend celestial, and has been nurtured for countless eras. It is about to become a spirit. Another strange deity? But this one was inferior. Hanju thought curiously. What's the difference between the two strange deities? Your strange deity has inherited the providence of all the chaotic fiend celestials. The inferior strange deity has only inherited one chaotic fiend celestial's providence. Oh, wasn't that a far cry? Hanju was relieved. It was fine as long as he had the best one. Then, he stopped thinking about it, and continued to absorb the negative karma in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. In the dark universe, above the sea of clouds, under the old tree, a divine figure arrived in front of Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. It was Great Nine Heavens. Great Nine Heavens asked, "Were you cursed again?" Jade Emperor Zhou Yan opened his eyes and nodded with an ugly expression. The dark forbidden lord was like a nightmare. He cursed him every 10 years. It was even worse because he knew the time. Even if he knew, he was helpless. This feeling was too aggrieved. During this period of time, he had been deducing fate, wanting to find the dark forbidden lord, but he came up empty-handed. Great Nine Heavens raised his right hand and said, "Do you see what I'm holding?" Jade Emperor Zhou Yan asked in confusion. There's nothing. What are you saying? Great Nine Heavens said. This is a mysterious existence nurtured by the dark forbidden zone. It contains the power of the legendary chaotic fiend celestial. If nurtured, it can definitely overturn the immeasurable calamity, or even dominate the great Tao immeasurable calamity. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin frowned. You don't believe me? Then feel it. Great Nine Heavens smiled. He waved his right hand. Immediately after, Jade Emperor Zhou Yin felt a sinister aura approaching him. It made his blood run cold. He stood up. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin observed carefully, and confirmed that there was nothing. He looked at Great Nine Heavens in surprise. Great Nine Heavens said, This is an extraordinary existence. Even a pseudo-sage like you can't capture its existence. If it wants to kill you, how can you resist? Jade Emperor Zhou Yin frowned and asked. Then, how did you see it? Great Nine Heavens smiled and said, The sect master cast a spell on my eyes. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was silent. Next, we'll think of a way to make it stronger. Don't look for trouble with Li Daokong anymore. He has the backing of a sage, so I can't kill him personally. Great Nine Heavens said seriously. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin said in a low voice, I'm not looking for him. He's the one who keeps looking for me. The mention of Li Daokong infuriated him. This fellow clearly could not defeat the two of them, but he insisted on courting death. However, when he thought of the sage of the human school, Jade Emperor Zhou Yin felt very helpless. The current him was far from qualified to challenge a sage. Hide from him no matter what. Great Nine Heavens said unquestionably. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin sighed. 8 years later, detected that a mysterious mighty figure is manipulating the evil creatures rejected by the heavenly Tao to engulf the heavens. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and kill the evil creatures. You can obtain heavenly Tao great merit, a great Tao fragment, and a mystical power inheritance. 2. Continue your seclusion and cultivate in a low-profile manner. You can obtain a great Tao fragment. Han Ju chose the second option without hesitation. He now had 5 great Tao fragments. He was getting closer and closer to fusing them. This evil creature should be the inferior strange deity. Han Ju thought silently. His strange deity had yet to mature. It would probably take time for the inferior one to grow as well. It couldn't threaten him. Han Ju stopped thinking about it and continued cultivating. Half a year later, Morongqi had stepped into the emperor realm. At this point Li Yao, Tu Linger, Fang Liang, Morongqi, Long Hao, and Su Qi had stepped into the emperor realm. This was the immeasurable calamity. With the heavenly Tao taking care of them, providence bearers cultivated very quickly. What Han Ju wanted to do was to stabilize their Tao hearts, and not let them go out to waste their lives. Han Ju called Morongqi into the cave abode, and taught him a mystical power. Even the peak of Morongqi's previous life could not compare to the current him. So Han Ju's guidance was enough to benefit him greatly. Another 3 years passed. Chu Shuren came to visit him. Han Ju was already qualified to look down on this supreme Buddha. He had fought with the heavenly Tao Buddha in the simulation trial and killed him. In fact, the supreme Buddha seemed to be inferior to the heavenly Tao Buddha. Chapter 414 Evil Dark Forbidden Lord. Chapter 414 Evil Dark Forbidden Lord. Greetings, Grandmaster. Chu Shuren knelt down respectfully without the bearing of a Buddha. Han Ju smiled and asked, What's the matter? Chu Shuren looked up at him, and was secretly shocked. Had he really just entered the Zenith Heaven realm? The aura emitted by Han Ju was stronger than those old Zenith Heaven cultivators. In addition, after entering the Khanate cave abode, he had a bone-chilling feeling, as if there was some evil creature secretly watching him, ready to pounce on him at any time. This feeling was indescribable, making him uneasy. This feeling made Chu Shuren respect Han Ju even more. Chu Shuren adjusted his emotions and said softly, Grandmaster, can you teach me your mystical power? In the recent 100-year competition, he discovered that his mystical powers were inferior to Li Yao, Tu Linger, and the others. In his previous life he was a Buddha. He had learned the Buddhist Dharma methods. Although his cultivation level was high, his mystical powers were not good. The mystical powers he grasped were greatly inferior to the ones Han Ju taught. Han Ju smiled and said, If you become an immortal emperor, I will teach you a supreme mystical power. Chu Shuren looked up and asked, really? Yes, I've always looked forward to your growth. Thank you, Grandmaster. After bowing, Chu Shuren hurriedly left. Han Ju glared at the strange deity beside him. This fellow had been lying beside Chu Shuren just now, and clearly made him uncomfortable. Han Ju was still very glad about the change in Chu Shuren. If not for his different ideals, he would probably become the strongest among the 5 great Buddhas. After Chu Shuren left, Han Ju continued cultivating the strange deity lay on his back. Ever since it helped Han Ju reach the Zenith Heaven realm, the strange deity often helped him absorb negative karma. With its help, Han Ju's absorption speed far exceeded his own cultivation speed. Not only that, but the strange deity was also becoming stronger. Han Ju had entered a simulation trial with it not long ago. This fellow already had the combat strength of a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. However, it was ignorant and did not have any fancy mystical powers. It fought too directly and clumsily. Han Ju and the strange deity seemed to be entering a strange coexistence state. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. In this coexisting state, the stronger Han Ju was, the stronger the strange deity became. Furthermore, Han Ju could completely control the other party's life and death. It was as if Han Ju inexplicably thought of the fantasy novels he had read in his previous life. This was like a martial soul. Interesting. With the strange deity's presence, Han Ju would be equivalent to having an active avatar in future battles. He would also have 3,000 fiend celestial Dharma idols. An army by himself? Han Ju was excited. He wanted to be invincible among those of the same realm. This was the case for Zenith Heaven. And it was the same even after he had attained the Tao. Time passed quickly. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. Han Ju maintained the frequency of cursing once every 10 years. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was fine, but he didn't cause trouble recently. The recent immortal world was extremely harmonious. It was so harmonious that Han Ju thought that the calamity had ended. This was until he saw an email. Your grand disciple Fang Liang received the inheritance of your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yin. His cultivation has increased greatly. What the hell? Fang Liang had submitted to the enemy? Or did Jade Emperor Zhou Yin bow down to him? Han Ju wanted to use the derivation function to understand, but on second thought, there was no need. In any case, the outcome of the calamity had already changed. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin couldn't laugh until the end. Why should he care about his current situation? There were 6-star hatred points. No matter what, he had to curse him to death to prevent future trouble. I can't let him have a chance to rise again or clear his name. Han Ju thought silently. His cultivation had increased quite a lot recently. He could squander his lifespan to celebrate. He locked the strange deity into the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus, and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yin. 5 days later, Han Ju's lifespan began to decrease. In the Imperial Garden in the 9th level of the Immortal World, Fang Liang, Jade Emperor Zhou Yin, and Great Nine Heavens were sitting around the stone table. Great Nine Heavens revealed his true appearance. He looked like a scholar, but his figure was extremely burly. I only have one request. Let the Heavenly Emperor go, Fang Liang said. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin shook his head and said, he faked his death. I didn't torture him. He's doing well now. If you're worried, I can let you interact with him. Fang Liang nodded slowly. He looked at Great Nine Heavens and said, can you represent the Chan school? Great Nine Heavens said, of course we can. The human's rise is unstoppable. This calamity has already become clear. It will definitely be a war between humans and gods. Other sages among the humans have arrived first. The heavenly court is also a force supported by the Tao sect. We have no choice. Fang Liang's eyes flickered. He was suffering inside. After all, he was also a human. Great Nine Heavens continued. His Majesty needs the help of the two of us. The heavenly court will definitely be powerful. If the humans win, what do you think they will do to them? The heavenly court can tolerate humans, but humans can't tolerate the heavenly court. Fang Liang frowned. This was very realistic and also the truth. He had lived in the mortal world, and knew the evil of human nature. If the humans defeated the heavenly court, the immortal gods would no longer exist. Even if they survived, they would live an ignoble life. To let the immortal gods be slaves of the human race, could they still be considered immortal gods, then? If the heavenly court wins, we will obtain great providence. With His Majesty's decision, the humans will also have a chance of survival. Great Nine Heavens continued to persuade. Feng Liang sighed. He knew that the other party was plotting something, but he couldn't refuse. The current heavenly court was not as strong as before. The various forces in the immortal world were overthrowing the rule of the immortals. If this continued, even if they didn't encounter powerful enemies, the heavenly court would only exist in name. As the heavenly emperor, Feng Liang had to do something just as he was hesitating. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, causing the stone table to instantly turn into dust. Feng Liang was so shocked that he stood up and retreated. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan hurriedly meditated and circulated his energy to suppress the powerful curse. Great Nine Heavens frowned and asked, "The Dark Forbidden Lord?" Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's face was pale as he replied, "Who else could it be?" His tone was filled with helplessness. Now even his anger was gone. He was already used to it. Feng Liang asked, "Can't the Chan school deduce who the Dark Forbidden Lord is?" Great Nine Heavens and Jade Emperor Zhou Yan were silent. That's right. Even sages could not deduce it. This was the most terrifying thing. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan couldn't help but feel despair. Being pestered by the Dark Forbidden Lord, he might one day face the calamity of death. Suddenly, an even stronger curse attacked. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly said, "Quick! Use your dermic powers to help me suppress the Dao fruit." Great Nine Heavens arrived behind Jade Emperor Zhou Yan and pressed his palm on his back. Soon, Great Nine Heavens couldn't help but be moved. He had never been cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord, so he had always been suspicious. Was the Dark Forbidden Lord's curse really that terrifying? But now, so powerful. That fellow is definitely cursing with his lifespan. Could it be that he is sacrificing the lives of countless living beings, so he only curses once every 10 years? Great Nine Heavens frowned as he thought about it. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. What a ruthless Dark Forbidden Lord. It was truly a crime punishable by death. In Great Nine Heavens' mind, the Dark Forbidden Lord became evil and cruel. Feng Liang watched from the side and noticed the change in their expressions. He had an idea. Were the two of them desperate and deliberately trying to deceive him? Chapter 415 Humans should be ranked higher than immortals. Chapter 415 Humans should be ranked higher than immortals. Hanju didn't know that Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was in front of Feng Liang. He cursed with all his might. He prepared to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yan until he was severely injured. He didn't want this fellow to harm his grand disciple. Hanju cursed as he stared at the attributes panel. His lifespan had already decreased by 80 billion years. Even mini-stars couldn't live that long. Continue. 90 billion years. 100 billion years. 110 billion years. 120 billion years. 130 billion years. 140 billion years. Hanju's heart started to bleed, and he hesitated to continue. Damn it. Let's go. He had already sacrificed so much. How could he give up? He would succeed if he persisted for a little longer. He couldn't waste all his efforts. Hanju insisted on cursing. Strands of strange black aura wrapped around his body. It was very strange and terrifying. Soon, his lifespan decreased by 150 billion years. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was still persisting. Hanju almost died of anger. He could only grit his teeth and continue. When Hanju's lifespan was deducted to nearly 170 billion years, he finally saw an email. Because of your curse, your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's Dao fruit cracked. His mental demons haunted him. His dermic power surged and he lost his mind. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju hurriedly stopped cursing. Almost 170 billion years of lifespan. Hanju's heart bled. Too painful. As expected of a pseudo-sage. Such curses only made him lose his mind. It seemed that if he wanted to use the curse to kill Jade Emperor Zhou Yan, he was underestimating the pseudo-sage. What Hanju could do was to mess with the other party. After putting down the Book of Misfortune, Hanju started to think hard. What should he do to kill Jade Emperor Zhou Yan? Hanju suddenly thought of Shuemingi. He had an idea. He immediately used his mystical power, Dark Nightmare, and sent him a dream. Immediately after, he entered the dream realm and saw Shuemingi. This was a mountain peak. Shuemingi was meditating. He suddenly opened his eyes and was pleasantly surprised to see Hanju. He hurriedly stood up and knelt in front of him. "Greetings, Dark Forbidden Lord." Hanju pretended to be the Dark Forbidden Lord and said in a low voice, "I want Jade Emperor Zhou Yan dead." Shuemingi looked up and said without hesitation, "What do you need me to do? Just tell me." Previously, he was present when Li Daokong repelled Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. The reason why Jade Emperor Zhou Yan retreated was clearly that he was cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord. After that, Shuemingi firmly believed that Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was not the Dark Forbidden Lord's match. After being humiliated by him, Shuemingi had been waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity had finally arrived. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan wants to slaughter all living beings and replace the Dao ancestors' influence on the heavenly Dao, controlling the heavenly Dao alone. "Spread this news," Hanju said. His tone was calm, and it was difficult to guess his emotions. Shuemingi immediately said, "I'll immediately let the Darkness sect and the Azura race spread the news." He didn't care if what Hanju said was true. Even if it was a lie, he had a way to make it true. Hanju stared at him and stopped talking. Feeling his gaze, Shuemingi felt uneasy, not knowing what Hanju was going to say. After a long while, just as Shuemingi was about to collapse, Hanju suddenly dismissed the dream. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Hanju was depressed. Why was Shuemingi so obedient and did not ask for anything? Should he read his mind? Forget it. It didn't mean much. Even if Shuemingi was disobedient, it didn't affect him. Hanju felt that he couldn't be addicted to spending his life. After reaching the Zenith Heaven realm, it would take a long time to break through. He didn't want to use up all his lifespan before it was refreshed again. Even if he used half, it wouldn't be good. Habits were too terrifying and difficult to change. Hanju performed Dark Nightmare again. This time, he used it on Jing Tiangong of the Jie school and told him the same thing. Jing Tiangong also agreed readily. However, unlike Shuemingi, he asked Hanju about the Jie school's attitude. Hanju replied ambiguously, claiming that if the Jie school did not become his enemy, he would not target them. Jing Tiangong was relieved and said that he would definitely defame Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Hanju was unhappy. What did he mean by defame? This was the truth. After dreaming twice, Hanju stopped messing around and continued cultivating. He would visit the Heavenly Emperor in a few decades. Recently, the Heavenly Emperor seemed to have become peaceful. He didn't cause trouble anymore, and no one cursed him. That made sense. Everyone thought that the Heavenly Emperor had already died. Heavenly Emperor, wait a little longer. When I kill Jade Emperor Zhou Yan, you will be saved. Hanju thought silently. Killing a pseudo-sage required time. After all, Hanju was not a pseudo-sage. In the numinous palace, the immortal gods gathered. An old immortal said, trembling, "Your Majesty, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan wants to slaughter all living beings and replace the heavenly Dao. This matter has already spread to the heavens. The heavenly court can't cooperate with him. On the contrary, we have to declare war on Jade Emperor Zhou Yan." The divine general stood up and said in a low voice, "That's right. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan must die." Li Daokong's eyes were cold as he stared at Feng Liang. The hall was extremely noisy. Upon hearing that Feng Liang wanted to confer the title of emperor to Jade Emperor Zhou Yan, the immortals exploded. The heavenly court was on the decline because of Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Now that they were working with Jade Emperor Zhou Yan, where was the heavenly court's backbone? Feng Liang said expressionlessly, "I've already heard your opinions. From now on, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan will be an eternal enemy of the heavenly court. At the same time, we will abolish Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's position and sever his karma and faith with the heavenly court." The immortals cheered upon hearing this. Li Daokong smiled. Li Xian'ao clicked his tongue in wonder. Severing karma and faith. How ruthless. 1 moment ago, he was talking about conferring the emperor title, and the next, he was cutting off Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's escape route. Li Xian'ao didn't know if Feng Liang was a fence-sitter or ruthlessly decisive. No matter what Feng Liang thought, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan could forget about involving the heavenly court. Feng Liang looked at Ji Xianxin and asked, "How's the situation overseas?" Ji Xianxin replied, "We have already recruited 100,000 immortals. Half of them are above the heaven immortal realm." The literature immortals were shocked. "So many?" Feng Liang smiled and said, "Can you continue recruiting?" "Yes, but we have to use the divine investiture board. Those cultivators are worried. They hope to have the providence of immortals." Ji Xianxin nodded. The divine investiture board was a shackle to some immortals and gods, but to most people, it was a guarantee to step into the immortal realm. Immortals were not self-appointed. They needed to obtain the recognition of the heavenly Tao, regardless of race. Under the heavenly Tao, immortals were treated better than all living beings. There was no dispute. It was precisely because of this that immortals did not dare to rashly create slaughter, afraid of violating the heavenly rules and attracting monstrous negative karma. Feng Liang asked, "Has the human race expanded overseas?" Ji Xianxin shook his head and said, "No, the humans are consolidating internally." At this moment, a literature immortal stood up and said, "Your Majesty, the humans have declared that they want to destroy the numinous palace and must be suppressed. They shouted that humans should be ranked higher than immortals and gods, stirring up the hearts of the people. This is not a good sign. Humans should rank higher than immortals." Feng Liang couldn't help but frown. The immortals were the same. Chapter 416 Prelude to the Battle for Providence. Chapter 416 Prelude to the Battle for Providence. Immortal gods were inclusive of many races. After becoming an immortal god, they would be a group that shared benefits. If the heavenly court was destroyed, their fate and providence would decline. Therefore, even if the human immortals heard that the human race wanted to overturn the immortal gods, they were still very angry. They had been working hard to become immortals for countless years. How could they tolerate others disrespecting them? The humans are too arrogant. Our heavenly court protected them and slaughtered demons and devils for them. We even adjusted the weather to alleviate disasters. And they're actually treating us like this. That's right. When the demon court attacked the humans, wasn't it our heavenly court who saved them? Such ingrates. With the support of a sage, they want to go against the immortal gods? Our heavenly court is an orthodox sect. How can we be afraid of a sage? That's right, we can also seek the support of a sage. The immortals discussed and united against a common enemy. Feng Liang was originally a human, and did not want to see humans and immortals become mortal enemies. But now he had to make a choice. Perhaps this was the immeasurable calamity. It was not only a battle, but also a choice between life and death, Tao and righteousness. Feng Liang's eyes gradually became firm. He raised his hand to signal everyone to be quiet. All the immortals looked at him. Feng Liang said, "Prepare to declare war on the humans. Since the immeasurable calamity wants humans to fight with gods, the heavenly court can't retreat. We can only fight." The immortals agreed. Even if the heavenly court declined, the bottom line of immortals was not something mortals could touch. 15 years later, Hanju was still absorbing the negative karma in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus, when 4 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected that the battle for providence in the immeasurable calamity is about to begin. You have the following choices. 1. Join the human race and kill gods and immortals. You can obtain a great Tao fragment and a mystical power inheritance. 2. Join the heavenly court and show off your might. You can obtain a great Tao fragment and a random natural treasure. 3. Cultivate in a low-profile manner and stay away from trouble. You can obtain a great Tao fragment and a supreme treasure. Hanju was stunned. The battle for providence had begun? Could it be that the final battle of this calamity was the battle between the humans and the heavenly court? Wait, could it be that fate had arrived? The more Hanju thought about it, the more he shivered. If all of this was destined, then the demon court, the divine palace, the Buddhist sect, the Golden Crow divine clan, the dragon court, and the underworld were all cannon fodder. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju immediately chose the third option. Congratulations on obtaining a great Tao fragment and a supreme treasure. Constitution Mystic Boots. Zenith Heaven Supreme Treasure. A supreme treasure derived from chaotic chi. It can ignore the power of rules and move freely. It has a restriction to resist the divine sense attack of a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. This treasure was not bad. He had also accumulated 6 great Tao fragments. Hanju took out the Constitution Mystic Boots and started to make it recognize him as its owner. His thoughts drifted. The master of the heavenly court was his grand disciple Feng Liang. The future human emperor of the human race was Xing Hongxian. Both leaders were his. Unknowingly, Hanju was so powerful. He stopped and looked back. He couldn't help but feel as if he was in a dream. Back then, he only wanted to have more ways to survive by taking in disciples. He didn't expect to reach this point step by step. I really became the Dark Forbidden Lord, Hanju muttered and smiled helplessly. However, he did not regret it. So what if he was the Dark Forbidden Lord? As long as he could continue living and pursue the Great Tao, he was willing to be the Dark Forbidden Lord. Of course, he could only admit it verbally. Too many dogs had framed their sins on the Dark Forbidden Lord. It was simply shameless. Even today, there were still many people in the immortal world cursing the enemy. Many of Hanju's good friends were cursed by a mysterious curse, including Feng Liang, Ji Xianxian, Zhou Fan and others. He had to survive this calamity first. The next morning, Hanju put on the Constitution Mystic Boots and used the Dark Nightmare to send a dream to Xing Hongxian. In the dream, the two of them were alone in the forest. Hanju sat beside her and said softly, "The true calamity has arrived. This time, the protagonists of the calamity are the humans and the heavenly court. One of them will definitely win. You have to be careful." Xing Hongxian nodded. "Don't worry. I won't participate if I can." Hanju asked, "Who do you think will win?" "I'm not sure. I don't understand the heavenly court, but the human elders are full of confidence. I saw that sage's avatar. He's indeed powerful. Just looking at him makes me inexplicably nervous." Xing Hongxian sighed upon the mention of Fuxian. Sages were too distant from her. In the past, she had thought that sages were only cultivators with stronger dermic powers. Only when she saw Fuxian did she realize that this was not the case. Facing a sage, she couldn't even be rebellious or profane. Her soul trembled in front of him. Hanju secretly guessed that the heavenly court would also have the help of a sage. Otherwise, they would definitely be defeated, and might not even be able to achieve the cleansing effect that the heavenly Tao expected. In Hanju's opinion, the so-called calamity was a reshuffling of the heavens. When the number of lives reached the limit, the heavenly Tao's providence would change, attracting all living beings to fight and return peace to the world. Xing Hongxian asked curiously, "Husband, will you support the heavenly court?" She had heard that the current heavenly emperor was Feng Liang. She had seen Feng Liang's potential before. Hanju also had a good relationship with the heavenly emperor. It was impossible for their names to be coincidental. They had to be the same person. Hanju said expressionlessly, "I don't support anyone." Xing Hongxian smiled. "As expected of you. Why did this sound wrong?" Xing Hongxian didn't continue on this topic. Instead, she began to talk about her experiences during this period of time. Apart from cultivation, she had also followed the humans and fought everywhere. More and more ancient races had been attacked by humans. In the battles, the cultivation of the human prodigies had constantly increased. It was extremely miraculous. Xing Hongxian guessed that it was done by a sage, while Hanju thought that it was caused by the calamity. In the calamity, breaking through in cultivation was faster than during peaceful times. Unconsciously, the heavenly Tao was pushing everything. Xing Hongxian continued to talk, and Hanju spent most of the time listening. This dream lasted for a long time. After returning to reality, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had already lost his mind, but there had been no movement recently. He couldn't let down his guard. This fellow was probably recuperating in a corner. He had to take his life when he was down. This time, Hanju cursed with 50 billion years. He would slowly grind him to death. Several days later, Hanju released the strange deity and continued to absorb negative karma. At the same time, under the Fusang tree, everyone surrounded Lu Huaxiu. His body emitted wisps of purple aura, and his long hair fluttered. A terrifying and oppressive aura was brewing. What's wrong with him? Sun Chang'an asked curiously. Morongqi narrowed his eyes and said, he's awakening the power of his previous life. This aura, Chu Shuren said firmly. One of the 4 extreme emperors of the heavenly court, the Purple Star Emperor. Morongqi glanced at him, secretly unhappy. Why was this fellow always so talkative? Do you think that only you know? Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously. Is the Purple Star Emperor very powerful? Chu Shuren said. He's on par with the Heavenly Emperor. You tell me, is he powerful or not? Chapter 417 Emperor's Awakening, Heavenly Court's Great Support. Chapter 417 Emperor's Awakening, Heavenly Court's Great Support. When the disciples of the hidden sects surrounded Lu Huaxiu, Hanju also noticed his situation. He could sense that a powerful force was awakening in the depths of Lu Huaxiu's soul. The 4 extreme emperors of the heavenly court were all zenith heaven existences. Hanju checked Lu Huaxiu's profile picture again. Lu Huaxiu, early stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm, Purple Star Emperor, reincarnation of a zenith heaven emperor. He was once one of the 4 extreme emperors of the heavenly court. He reincarnated with the supreme treasure, the heavenly Tao Purple Emperor Spear. The Purple Emperor Spear is his soul. The two cannot be separated. His talent is powerful. He reached the Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm in less than 300 years and awakened the Purple Emperor Star Tao Fruit. Current favorability: 5 stars. As the latest disciple, he had already reached the early stage Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. It could be seen how talented the disciples of the hidden sect were. Hanju wasn't worried when he saw that Lu Huaxiu's cultivation level had not changed. Even if Lu Huaxiu completely awakened and became a zenith heaven emperor, Hanju was not afraid. Not to mention that Hanju was already an expert in the zenith heaven golden immortal realm. The 2 Tao field guards were no joke. Lu Bu and Ma Chao were 2 war god guardians. Hanju paid attention as he absorbed negative karma. About half a year later, Lu Huaxiu woke up. After waking up, he did not seem to have changed. When everyone asked him, he only smiled and did not say anything. After that, his cultivation speed soared, causing everyone to be speechless. After Morongqi and Chu Shuren, another mighty figure awakened. Under Chu Shuren's introduction, everyone knew that Lu Huaxiu was one of the heavenly court's 4 extreme emperors, the Purple Star Emperor. He was definitely a mighty figure of the myriad worlds. However, with the precedent of the Supreme Buddha, no one would change their attitude towards him. They treated him as in the past, especially the Black Hell Chicken. This fellow had taken the lead in bullying Lu Huaxiu. It seemed that the stronger Lu Huaxiu's identity was, the more excited it became. Lu Huaxiu's rise intensified the internal competition within the hidden sect. In these boring years, there had to be some competition to be interesting. In the dark universe, above the sea of clouds, under the old tree, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was circulating his energy to heal his injuries. His face was extremely pale, and he was frowning. At this moment, Great 9 Heavens appeared in front of him. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan did not open his eyes as he snorted. Why are you looking for me again? He was filled with hatred towards Great 9 Heavens. Great 9 Heavens said calmly, the sect master has ordered you to bow down to the Heavenly Emperor and enter the Divine Investiture Board. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan suddenly opened his eyes. He was furious. What do you mean? You're humiliating me? He was once the Heavenly Emperor and had suppressed the Heavenly Court. Telling him to become Heavenly Emperor Feng's subordinate was definitely an insult to him. Great 9 Heavens said, you have already failed. The sages have deduced that the protagonists of this immeasurable calamity are the humans and the immortals. If you want to fight, you can only enter the heavenly court and become an immortal god. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin asked, "Why can't I join the human race?" Great Nine Heavens did not answer. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was extremely angry. He knew that this was the sage's plan. He was only a pawn in the hands of a sage. He had no right to choose. Damn it! Just a little more. If not for the Dark Forbidden Lord, according to his plan, he would have devoured the heavenly Tao step by step. How would he have ended up like this? The more Jade Emperor Zhou Yin thought about it, the more aggrieved he became. He hated the Dark Forbidden Lord. Great Nine Heavens vanished, leaving behind a sentence. This is the only path you can take. If you disobey the sect master's will, you should know the consequences. Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was so angry that his chest heaved. He didn't say anything as he gritted his teeth. "You forced me." A black light flashed in Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's eyes. 20 years later, while cultivating, Han Ju cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan and checked his emails. "Your good friend Zhou Fan has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Han Ming has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Duan Hongqian has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has obtained a primordial divine body. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun has joined the heavenly court and is now an immortal god. Her providence has increased greatly." Han Ju's eyes widened. He was almost shocked. What the heck? More than half of his friends had joined the heavenly court? Where did Feng Liang get his appeal from? Han Ju looked carefully and discovered that Xue Mingyi had led the darkness sect into the heavenly court. The originally weak heavenly court immediately became stronger. Was he taking sides? Han Ju showed a frown. Could Xue Mingyi be mistaken? Han Ju immediately sent him a dream. When they met in the dream, Xue Mingyi said excitedly, "Forbidden Lord, you already know?" Han Ju said, "Yes." Xue Mingyi said, "The protagonists of the calamity are the humans and the heavenly court. You've always supported the heavenly court, so I shouldn't have done anything wrong by leading the darkness sect to join them, right?" Han Ju was speechless. He didn't expect that heavenly court's greatest backing was him. At this moment, Han Ju didn't dare to refute. Be it the humans or the heavenly court, both sides had people related to him, so he couldn't help either side. Although Han Ju was a human, he didn't have a sense of belonging to the humans here. After all, he had only stayed in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect his entire life, and didn't know many people. "Has anyone contacted you?" Han Ju asked. Xue Mingyi said, "Yes, the sage asked me in my dreams to enter the heavenly court. It suited me, so I." With that, he suddenly became nervous. Wait, would the Forbidden Lord misunderstand him as a traitor? He immediately knelt down in fear and said, "I'm loyal to the Forbidden Lord. As for that sage, I don't even know who he is." Han Ju asked, "Do you know how many sages there are?" Xue Mingyi thought that Han Ju was testing him, so he replied, "There are 9 heavenly Tao sages for eternity. However, since ancient times, many mighty figures have transcended the heavenly Tao. I'm not sure how many sages there are in total. The sages all live outside the 33rd heaven, or in the deity realm of the ruins of End." Han Ju asked, "What about Zenith Heaven?" It's difficult to guess the number of Zenith Heaven cultivators. After all, there have been more than 10 immeasurable calamities. Then, do you know about the deity realm of the ruins of End? I know. It's the heavenly Tao's first world in the primordial era. Because of a calamity, a sage took action and shattered the world. The Tao ancestor isolated the primordial heaven and earth, and left the various races in the current immortal world. Only mighty figures can go to the deity realm of the ruins of End, and stay away from the heavenly Tao's calamity. How much stronger is the deity realm of the ruins of End than the immortal world? It's hard to say, but they're all controlled by sages. Hanju stopped asking. Xue Mingyi became nervous and couldn't help but ponder over Hanju's words. Could it be that the Forbidden Lord was warning him that there was always someone stronger? It was very likely. He couldn't make decisions without permission in the future. He had to wait for the Forbidden Lord's arrangements. Yes, that's all. From now on, you will listen to Heavenly Emperor Feng until I give you a new order. Hanju cancelled the dream. After returning to reality, Hanju no longer cared about the heavenly court. However, 18 years later, Hanju learned from the emails that Long Hao and Di Lantian had joined the heavenly court. The humans were in danger. Chapter 418 Unyielding Human Race, Rise of the Hidden Sect. Chapter 418 Unyielding Human Race, Rise of the Hidden Sect. After the Dragon Court joined the Heavenly Court, they were considered the #1 force in the immortal world. They gathered the support of the Darkness Sect, the Azura Race, the Dragon Court, the Human School, the Chan School, and other major factions. It could even be said that the Heavenly Court had reached an unprecedentedly powerful golden age. It was even stronger than the Demon Court that had swept through the immortal world. How much time had passed? Hanju was shocked by the power of the sages. However, Hanju had a feeling that the stronger the Heavenly Court was, the more likely they would be defeated. The battle of the immeasurable calamity could not be a crushing one. Either both sides were evenly matched, both sides injured each other, or the weaker side reversed the tide. The Heavenly Tao wanted a small number of people to survive. After all, I'll just be a member of the audience and watch them collapse. Hanju thought silently. The Heavenly Emperor was already gone, and the current Heavenly Court was beginning to rise again. He had repaid the favor he owed. If not for his secret help, the Heavenly Court and the Heavenly Emperor would have been long gone. There was another goal now: kill Jade Emperor Zhou Yan and save the Heavenly Emperor. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Several days later, he continued cultivating. The Zenith Heaven realm was extremely difficult to cultivate. Hanju's Zenith Heaven Dao fruit was like a bottomless pit. When the negative karma in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus surged into it, the Dao fruit felt like it would never be filled. Hanju couldn't estimate when he would break through to the mid-stage golden immortal realm. The path of the great Dao was long-lasting. Time passed. While the hidden sect was cultivating in seclusion, the war between the humans and gods in the immortal world finally began. The human race had an extremely strong reproduction ability. In just a few decades, billions of people could appear. This was under the condition that the human race was constantly fighting. The humans of the immortal world had an extremely huge population, let alone the humans of the myriad worlds. They were the protagonists of the Heavenly Tao. Facing the powerful Heavenly Court, the humans were first attacked and defeated, but the characteristics of the humans were also displayed. They would never give up. The more humans lost, the more united they became. The cultivators from the other mortal worlds rushed to the immortal world to provide assistance. A world-shattering battle was brewing. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. About 30 years passed. Hanju walked out of the cave abode and prepared to preach the Tao to the hidden sect disciples. Lu Huaxi suddenly came in front of him and bowed. Grandmaster, the Divine Investiture Board is summoning me. What do you think I should do? Hanju said, Don't go. You'll die. Lu Huaxi's eyelids twitched. Although he had already awakened the memories of the Purple Star Emperor, his reverence for Hanju deepened. Because like the others, he felt that Hanju might be the reincarnation of the Tao ancestor. Looking at the hidden sect disciples, they could all form a huge faction. Previously, the Heavenly Court only had 5 Zenith Heavens. The 4 extreme emperors had not been in the Heavenly Court for a long time, and there were already 3 in the hidden sect. Lu Bu and Ma Chao were both manifestations of Zhu Tuesday. One had to know that Zhu Tu alone could fight against the 4 extreme emperors. Everyone, sit down and prepare to listen. Hanju walked around Lu Huaxiu and sat in front of the Fusang tree. After everyone was ready, he began to preach. Hanju also didn't want to stay in the dark forbidden zone. After the calamity ended, he would still go to the immortal world. However, before that, he had to make the hidden sect stronger. This way, he could cultivate in peace and let his disciples protect the hidden sect. Apart from the hidden sect, the reroll world was also becoming stronger. One day, the reroll world would surpass the mortal world and become a great world. Hanju was also looking forward to that day. The white-robed Buddha's cultivation level increased quite quickly, and he had already reached the rank 3 immortal emperor realm. It was all thanks to the reroll world's providence. 7 years later, Hanju ended the lecture. This time, he did not return to the cave abode directly. Instead, he waited for the disciples to awaken. A year later, all the disciples woke up and saw that Hanju was still around. They continued to wait for him to speak. Hanju said, "The true battle of this calamity is about to begin. The battle between the humans and the heavenly court." Everyone was stunned. Morongchi asked in surprise, "Where's the divine palace? Where's the Buddhist sect? Where's the demon court?" Tu Linga added, "What about the Golden Crow divine clan?" At the mention of the Golden Crow divine clan, Jiang Yi's expression became unnatural. Could it be that the Golden Crow divine clan was already gone? Chu Shuren pinched his fingers to deduce, and his expression changed drastically. Sun Chang'an noticed his expression and asked, "What did you deduce?" Sun Chang'an still couldn't change his attitude. He always cared about Chu Shuren. After all, he was born in the Buddhist sect and Chu Shuren was a Buddha. All the major powers have joined the heavenly court to suppress the humans. Someone wants to overthrow the identity of the humans as the protagonist under the heavenly Tao. What a move! Chu Shuren's expression was ugly. He was the supreme Buddha, whose philosophy was to make peace for all living beings. His Buddhist way focused on humans, so he naturally did not want the humans to be slaughtered. When the disciples heard that, they were all shocked. How could the heavenly court be so powerful? Hanju said, "Do you see? This is the immeasurable calamity. This is fate. The once high-spirited and insufferably arrogant behemoths can all become stepping stones. The hidden sect does not fight for providence or power. What we fight for is the great Tao. Cultivate well, and don't think about going out. After the immeasurable calamity ends, we will return to the immortal world." The chaotic heavenly dog shouted, "We still have to go back? Why can't we stay here?" The black hell chicken flapped its wings and scolded, "How dare you refute Master's will?" The other's eyes lit up. Not everyone wanted to stay away from the world. Cultivation was sometimes only for the sake of being superior to others. Before this calamity ends, I hope that all of you can reach the Emperor realm. Can you do that? Hanju asked. All immortal emperors. This goal made everyone excited. Even if it was a major force in the immortal world, there were not many immortal emperors. Definitely, Lu Huaxu said in high spirits. The others agreed. The Black Hell Demon Lord, Diamond Rage, and Jiang Yi looked at each other in shock. They felt Hanju's ambitions. Could it be that he was plotting for the next calamity? It was very likely. Wasn't this the path of the previous Divine Palace? The Divine Palace had risen after the calamity ended, taking advantage of the chaos in the world and the fact that order had yet to be rebuilt. It had appeared in one go and widely accepted geniuses, rising step by step. Hanju smiled in satisfaction and returned to the Khanate cave abode. The strange deity pounced over. Hanju waved his hand and gestured for it to scram. The strange deity seemed to be very anxious and kept rebuking him. Hanju frowned and immediately checked the powerful enemies around the Dao field. There were no powerful enemies. What was going on? At this moment, the strange deity suddenly entered Hanju's body, and a huge memory surged into his mind. It was a distant memory. It was a misty void. Violent winds wreaked havoc in all directions. In Hanju's vision, the clouds parted, and he saw a majestic figure. It was even larger than the primordial Yuan phoenix he had seen before. Even Hanju, a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this figure. Too huge to describe. For some reason, Hanju inexplicably thought of the legendary Pangu who split open the sky. Giant god Pangu? Why did the strange god let him see this memory? At this moment, Hanju suddenly felt a terrifying gaze land on him. Although he didn't see that gaze, he could feel the pressure. It was a pressure that made his soul tremble. He had a dignified expression. Beside him stood an immortal, who looked identical to him. After so many years, Feng Liang had completely become the heavenly emperor. His eyes were dignified, and he was extremely shrewd. The divine general suddenly appeared beside him. He glanced at the immortal god beside Feng Liang and looked at him. He cupped his fists and said, "Your Majesty, the Jiang family of the human school has chosen to support the human race. Jiang Dugu has returned. He brought the primordial Yuan Phoenix and devoured 100,000 heavenly troops. The heavenly court has suffered heavy losses." Feng Liang narrowed his eyes and asked, "Does Li Daokong know about Jiang Dugu?" The divine general replied, "Li Daokong has already gone to fight him." Feng Liang fell into deep thought. After a long time, Feng Liang said, "Send the immortals to the extreme north to invite the Feng family." "Feng clan?" The divine general was stunned and asked in surprise, "Are you related to the Feng family?" Feng Liang nodded slightly. The divine general was secretly shocked. So the heavenly emperor chose Feng Liang because of this. He immediately accepted the order and left. Feng Liang turned to look at the immortal god beside him and muttered, "This battle will depend on your divine power." This immortal god, who looked identical to Feng Liang, did not change his expression. He was like a puppet. Time passed quickly. 20 years passed quickly. Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune again and cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. At the same time, he checked his emails. Your good friend Jiang Dugu has joined the human race. His providence has transformed. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a human cultivator, X170098. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by human cultivators, X390221. Your good friend Pan Xan has joined the human race. His providence has transformed. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong. Your good friend Han Ming was attacked by your good friend Pan Xian and was severely injured. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou was attacked by your good friend Pan Xian and was severely injured. Jiang Dugu and Pan Xian joined the human race? Very powerful. Looking down, Pan Xian clearly used a huge move and severely injured Han Ju's friends. Why would this coward enter the calamity? They were all taking sides. Han Ju was very curious about the battle in the immortal world. I want to know which race will win this calamity. Han Ju asked silently in his heart. 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Heavenly Court. Han Ju's eyelids twitched. Would the humans be wiped out? Han Ju felt that his morals had been shattered. His subconscious still treated him as a human, so he always felt that the human race would definitely survive. Han Ju asked, "What will happen to the human race?" They will be extinct. All living beings born as humans must die, including the human immortals. This time his lifespan was not deducted. It should be related to the previous deduction. Extinction, including all the human immortals. Han Ju frowned. What was going on? Will I die after the calamity ends? 1 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Not for the time being. Han Ju heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that only the humans in the immortal world would die. What should he do now? Han Ju decided to visit Xing Hongxian in her dreams and tell her to return. He immediately used his mystical power and pulled Xing Hongxian into the dream. Above the clouds, the two met. Xing Hongxian didn't look good and didn't pounce on him. Han Ju frowned. What happened? Could it be that it was inconvenient for Xing Hongxian to enter the dreams now? A figure appeared beside Xing Hongxian. It was a woman who looked identical to Dao Comprehension Sword. Tai Sutian. Crap. I screwed up. The next time he visited, he had to deduce the other party's situation. Han Ju cursed himself for being careless. Tai Sutian stared at Han Ju and said, "Please save the humans." Save the human race? Han Ju said helplessly. The human race needs me to save them? Tai Sutian replied, yes. 6 of the 9 heavenly Dao sages chose to support the heavenly court and eradicate the human race. Only Sage Nuwa and Sage Fushi chose to protect the human race. Heavenly Emperor Feng of the heavenly court is your grand disciple. Although your karma is small, you are closely related to many people facing the calamity. Perhaps you can reverse the situation. Hanju said, but my cultivation isn't good enough. I heard from the sages that you are at least at the deity realm. Hearing this, Hanju secretly felt that something was wrong. Sage Nuwa was staring at him. The human race was a deep pit. Hanju didn't want to enter rashly. Even if he helped the human race, he couldn't help openly lest he provoked great karma. Tai Sutian continued, if the humans can survive this calamity, the sages will give you a huge opportunity that contains the method to attain the Tao. Tao attainment method. What was attaining the Tao? Wasn't it to become a sage? Hanju asked in surprise. Aren't there only 9 sages? Tai Sutian replied, Sage Nuwa will give up her position as a heavenly Tao sage. Chapter 420 Taking Sides. Jade Emperor transforms into a heavenly devil. Chapter 420 Taking Sides. Jade Emperor transforms into a heavenly devil. Hearing Tai Sutian's words, Hanju couldn't help but think of the outcome of directly deriving the calamity. Zhu too went to Nuwa Imperial Palace and claimed that he was used and deceived to seek revenge from the sages. This matter had always been a thorn in Hanju's heart, making him unable to completely trust Nuwa Imperial Palace's sage. Moreover, he didn't want to become a heavenly Tao sage. The 9 heavenly Tao sages were obviously puppets of the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, there wouldn't be existences like Transcendent Tao Expert, Eternal Divine Spirit, Great Tao Divine Spirit, and so on. Hanju couldn't reference the novels and legends he had read in the past. After all, 10 immeasurable calamities had already appeared since the establishment of the heavenly Tao. Countless experts were born. Anyway, he couldn't agree. Hanju said in a low voice, this is very important. I have to consider it. Tai Sutian nodded and said, that's true. Tell me through Xing Hongxian whenever you decide. The two of them fell silent, not knowing what to say. Hanju coughed and said, can I talk to my wife alone? Xing Hongxian was overjoyed. The title of wife made her extremely happy. Tai Sutian hurriedly disappeared and did not say much. Hanju asked in his heart, will the dream realm be spied on by a third person? This mystical power is a great Tao mystical power. Only by entering a dream or reaching the great Tao level can one spy on it. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He asked, what do you think of what she said just now? Xing Hongxian looked around and sent a voice transmission. Not reliable. Hanju didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This girl had also become cautious and was even transmitting her voice in the dream. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Hanju sent a voice transmission. Then hurry up and come back. How? Where to find you? Go to the void. I'll think of a way to find you. Alright, don't alert the enemy. Find an opportunity and excuse to leave Tai Sutian's sight. Don't worry, I'm familiar with this. After discussing, the two of them began to ask each other questions out loud, as if someone was really spying on them. After returning to reality, Hanju frowned. He couldn't visit anyone in their dreams so casually anymore. A sage could scheme against him at any time. Fortunately, it was only Tai Sutian. If it was a sage, Hanju wouldn't be able to decline. Will this calamity end up as a sage war? Hanju muttered in his heart. If that was really the case, the immortal world would be finished. Could the next immortal world be the 9 Nether Purgatory? The more Hanju thought about it, the more likely he thought it was. The 9 Nether Purgatory had already become a place for many factions and living beings to avoid the calamity. The sages only needed to pour out the negative karma in the 9 Nether Purgatory, and it would become a world of its own. Hanju shivered and stopped thinking about it. He should cultivate quietly. In the following period of time, friends joined the humans or heavenly court from time to time. 20 years later, other than the people from the hidden sect, all Hanju's good friends had taken sides. They were all in the human and heavenly court factions. After lining up, it was time for the battle. Hanju cursed silently. Didn't they say that the calamity would last for 10,000 years, or at most 1,000,000 years? It had only been a few thousand years, but the final battle was about to begin. It shouldn't affect the dark forbidden zone, right? Hanju had no choice but to use the derivation function to ask. 2 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No, all right. It didn't even say for the time being. Hanju was relieved and felt like he had just survived a calamity. He took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing while checking his emails. He suddenly saw an email. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor was possessed by an inferior strange deity. His soul was suppressed. Hanju was furious. He still remembered that the inferior strange deity was picked up by a person called Great Nine Heavens. This fellow was a pseudo-sage. Could it be that the mysterious mighty figure, who had always helped Jade Emperor Zhou Yan, was Great Nine Heavens? He's asking to get killed. Hanju couldn't tolerate it. Before he grew up, the Heavenly Emperor had always helped him. He would give him whatever he wanted. How could he let the Heavenly Emperor endure such humiliation? He would first give Jade Emperor Zhou Yan the treatment of 200 billion years of lifespan. Then, he would give Great Nine Heavens 300 billion years of lifespan. A mere 500 billion years of lifespan was nothing to Hanju, who had a lifespan of 10 quintillion years. He had more than enough. 5 days later, Hanju's lifespan began to decrease. He stared at the attributes panel. 100 billion years of lifespan was consumed very quickly. In a mysterious hall, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan sat on the ground with an extremely ugly expression. Great Nine Heavens, and the Heavenly Emperor stood at the side. The Heavenly Emperor was in a strange state. His eyes were black and his hair was white. He was like a puppet. Great Nine Heavens circled around the Heavenly Emperor. It was unknown what he was thinking, but he nodded from time to time. At this moment, Jade Emperor Zhou Yan suddenly opened his eyes and roared, "Save me!" Boom! He spat out a mouthful of golden blood, burning a huge hole in the ground. Great Nine Heavens turned to look at him with a frown. He looked annoyed. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had been cursed more than once and needed his help every time. Great Nine Heavens wished that this fellow would just die. This useless dog. Great Nine Heavens cursed in his heart. But he still came behind Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to heal him. Soon Great Nine Heavens' expression changed. What a powerful curse. He could clearly sense the other party's anger. The curse power was like a stormy sea, as if it wanted to drown Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. Oh no! The Dark Forbidden Lord wanted to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to death. Although it was very difficult for Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to be cursed to death, at this rate, his Dao fruit would become unstable, and his cultivation would definitely decline. He might even suffer from qi deviation and become a heavenly devil. Great Nine Heavens tried his best to help. However, the curse power was still increasing. He couldn't block it. Crap. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was doomed. Great Nine Heavens' expression was extremely ugly. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan suddenly looked up and roared. Ah! This roar spread throughout the myriad worlds. Everyone could hear the hatred in his tone. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's body exploded, and his soul turned into a black mist. Great Nine Heavens' expression changed drastically. Devil Qi. How is that possible? Then his expression turned furious. This fellow actually sought refuge with the devil ancestor. He's asking to get killed. The black mist that Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had transformed into suddenly rushed towards Great Nine Heavens. He roared, "Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Great Nine Heavens, you will die a horrible death." Great Nine Heavens cursed this fellow for being crazy as he raised his hand to block. Because of your curse, your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had his body destroyed, and his soul devoured by the devil ancestor. Seeing this email, Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. This time he went overboard. He had actually used up 300 billion years of his lifespan. The hand holding the Book of Misfortune was trembling. How extravagant! Heavenly Emperor, I've really tried my best. Hanju's eyes became sharp. It was not over. Next was Great Nine Heavens. But before that, Hanju had to rest. Several days later, Hanju held the Book of Misfortune again, and cursed Great Nine Heavens. On the other side, Great Nine Heavens had just ended the battle, and expelled Jade Emperor Zhou Yan from the hall. He was meditating to heal his injuries when he felt a powerful curse. His expression darkened. The damned Dark Forbidden Lord had targeted him. Chapter 421 Unworthy of Pseudosage, Competing with the Tao Ancestor. Chapter 421 Unworthy of Pseudosage, Competing with the Tao Ancestor, Facing the Curse of the Dark Forbidden Lord. Great Nine Heavens did not panic. He wasn't Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. He raised his hand and took out a green lotus throne. The Heavenly Emperor beside him was meditating and cultivating. His body was surrounded by wisps of strange black aura, as if there were evil spirits around him. It was ghastly and terrifying. 5 days later, Great Nine Heavens frowned as he felt the curse power increase. Why was it always 5 days later? Could there be something to it? Great Nine Heavens had accompanied Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to resist the curse and captured this detail. As he pondered, he resisted the curse. In the Khanate cave abode, Hanju stared at his attributes panel. 110 billion years. 150 billion years. 200 billion years. 250 billion years. Because Great Nine Heavens didn't develop any emotions towards Hanju, he didn't know the other party's exact situation. Who cared? He would give him 300 billion years to enjoy first. Hanju continued cursing. He only stopped after deducting 300 billion years of his lifespan. Although Hanju was fine after spending 600 billion years of his lifespan, he was inexplicably terrified. To be precise, it was guilt. He felt that he had let down his soul and Tao heart. However, the Heavenly Emperor was in trouble, so he had no choice but to take action. I wonder if that fellow is injured. Hanju thought worriedly. Should he deduce it? Forget it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. That was a pseudosage. If he asked, he would lose a lot of his lifespan. Hanju started to adjust his emotions and prepared to continue cultivating. In the hall, Great Nine Heavens was still meditating and healing his injuries. His expression changed from madness, anger, fear, and gloominess, as if he had multiple personalities. The Heavenly Emperor stood at the side staring at him. After a long time, Great Nine Heavens opened his eyes. His expression was extremely ugly as he muttered, "Damn it! Why is this fellow's curse so terrifying? How many lives has he sacrificed?" He believed that the Dark Forbidden Lord sacrificed living beings to curse the enemy. Using his lifespan to curse the enemy was the strongest way. No one would sacrifice their own lifespan to curse their enemies, even if they were Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals. Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were said to be immortal, but that was only the definition of all living beings. No Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal had lived from the beginning of the world until now. They were either dead or had broken through to a higher realm to elevate their essence of life. In addition, if he used his lifespan to curse, he would definitely provoke karma. To a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, this was the greatest taboo. Even if he was a pseudosage, the more Great Nine Heavens thought about it, the more he felt that the Dark Forbidden Lord was a huge danger. If he let him continue to grow, he would definitely become a huge threat to the Heavenly Tao. We have to report this to the sages. Great Nine Heavens thought silently. At this moment, his mental demon was in chaos. He was so shocked that he hurriedly used his supreme dermic powers to suppress it. However, the mental demon was too strong, causing his dermic powers to run wild. He injured his Tao fruit, and his cultivation fell slightly. Damn Dark Forbidden Lord. If he didn't take revenge, he wouldn't be qualified to be a pseudo-sage. Suddenly, the Heavenly Emperor, who had been standing quietly beside him, suddenly attacked Great Nine Heavens. With a palm strike, countless black chi wrapped around Great Nine Heavens like dragons and snakes. Great Nine Heavens turned around and widened his eyes. He shouted angrily, "You!" The Heavenly Emperor pulled with his right hand. Countless black chi interwove with lightning and tore Great Nine Heavens' body apart. "Humph! An evil creature like you wants to rebel? You're overestimating yourself." Great Nine Heavens' voice sounded, his tone filled with anger. Another 10 years had passed since he had cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan and Great Nine Heavens. To mortals, 10 years was a long time. But to Hanju, it was like yesterday. He took out the Book of Misfortune and continued cursing Jade Emperor Zhou Yan while checking his emails. The humans in Heavenly Court had already started a full-scale war. Most of the emails were about being attacked, or even about being severely injured. How tragic. Humans were not demons. If they fought, they would either win or be wiped out. They would continue fighting. Han Ju was waiting for Xing Hongxian to return. As long as she went to the void, she would use the invocation technique. However, after so many years she had never used it. Although Han Ju was a little worried, he still waited patiently. Recently, he had not seen any emails about Xing Hongxian encountering danger. The portrait was still there. She was probably waiting for the opportunity. After reading the emails, Han Ju made up his mind not to enter the calamity. From now on, no matter who looked for him, he would never go out. He had to survive this calamity first. 10 days later, Han Ju's curse ended. He would visit Feng Liang in his dreams this time. Before dreaming, he first deduced, "Will my dream attract the attention of others? 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" Continue. Fortunately, it was only 100 million years. It was not expensive. Not for the time being. Han Ju heaved a sigh of relief and immediately performed the technique. The two of them came to the numinous palace. This numinous palace was the scene Han Ju saw when he transformed it. It was dilapidated and desolate, just nice to match what he had to say. The scene in the dream was entirely decided by Han Ju. He felt that the atmosphere was very important. Feng Liang was stunned when he saw Han Ju using his true body, and not the image of the dark forbidden lord. After coming back to his senses, Feng Liang hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings, Grandmaster." Even as the heavenly emperor, Feng Liang did not forget Han Ju's kindness. He knew very well that if not for him, he would not be here today. Han Ju smiled and asked, "How have you been? Does the position of heavenly emperor feel good?" Feng Liang smiled bitterly. "We're just pawns and puppets." Facing Han Ju, he didn't pretend to be strong. He began to talk about the internal and external troubles of the heavenly court. The heavenly court looked powerful, but as more and more factions joined, many internal conflicts ensued. As the heavenly emperor, his cultivation level was insufficient, so he couldn't suppress all the ambitious people. Every time the numinous palace discussed matters, they would quarrel. If not for Li Daokong, they would probably fight. In the outside world, the heavenly court was unprecedentedly powerful. But in Feng Liang's opinion, this alliance was extremely weak and could be destroyed at any time. After he finished speaking, Han Ju asked, "Are you willing to come back?" Feng Liang smiled bitterly. "I also want to leave in a hurry, but I already have no choice. If I resign from the heavenly emperor position, I'll probably die the moment I leave." Han Ju remained silent. This was not Feng Liang scaring himself. After all, the sages were watching. How could they allow him to destroy the game they had set up? Apart from sages, the heavenly court's enemies would also target Feng Liang. After becoming the heavenly emperor, Feng Liang had offended too many people. During this period of time, all the enemies the heavenly court had offended would blame him, because he was the heavenly emperor. Han Ju said, "Then, you can only be careful. Next, I will completely close the hidden sect and avoid the immeasurable calamity." Feng Liang was not surprised. Instead, he asked with a smile, "Grandmaster, what's your cultivation level now? With your potential, you're at least at the deity realm, right?" Han Ju replied, "Yes, I'm only at the one mystic divine origin." Feng Liang praised, "Grandmaster's talent is truly unprecedented. You'd be a genius even in the primordial era. You can even compete with the Tao ancestor." Han Ju smiled and didn't say anything. He might not trust the others, but he believed Feng Liang when he said this. Chapter 422 Li Muyi Laozi. Chapter 422 Li Muyi. Laozi. Han Ju and Feng Liang chatted for a while more before ending the dream. Although Feng Liang was helpless, Han Ju clearly felt that he wanted to fight for providence. He was not completely coerced by others. This was his own intention. Everyone had their own fate. Han Ju couldn't force it. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju hesitated to contact Xing Hongxian again. However, after thinking about it, he decided not to. If he did it too frequently, it would alert the enemy. Next, Han Ju visited Xian Qingjun in her dreams. She had helped him a lot in the beginning, and given him all sorts of resources. The favor he owed her was the most important. The dream was a cave abode, and the light was dim. Xian Qingjun was stunned when she saw him. Come back. The immeasurable calamity is about to erupt. The human race will definitely lose. Even the immortal gods will die, Hanju said solemnly. Xian Qingjun frowned and fell into deep thought. Hanju waited patiently. After a long time, Xian Qingjun said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, but I want to fight." "Sorry." She looked at Hanju with an exceptionally gentle gaze. She believed him. The fact that Hanju could reveal the heavenly secrets to her meant that he really cared about her. Hanju remained silent. Xian Qingjun said, "My potential is not good. Even if I avoid the calamity, how long can I live? After this calamity ends, I probably won't make it to the next one before I pass away. I can't rely on you to survive in the future." Hanju knew that this was the truth. Not just anyone could reach the immortal emperor realm. Although the hidden sect wanted everyone to become immortal emperors, those who had reached this realm were all geniuses among themselves. Hanju said, "As long as you don't regret it." Xian Qingjun smiled and shook her head. Hanju thought for a moment and said, "In that case, I'll teach you some mystical powers." Xian Qingjun had already obtained the inheritance of a mighty figure from the Jie school. However, this was Hanju's kind intention, so she didn't reject it. Hanju began to teach her the mystical power. Soon Xian Qingjun was shocked. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. This mystical power. It was stronger than all the mystical powers she had grasped. What cultivation level was this kid at now? Xian Qingjun suddenly couldn't understand Hanju. Could it be that this man had already reached the top level of the immortal world? Thinking of this, Xian Qingjun was inexplicably stunned. She couldn't help but think of the scene when she first saw Hanju. At that time, she only felt that Hanju was the most good-looking, and the only one who could move her heart. She didn't expect him to be a mighty figure of the immortal world. Is this kid the reincarnation of a mighty figure? Definitely. After returning to reality, Hanju sighed. Was this the immeasurable calamity? Apart from Xing Hongxian, the others knew that it was extremely dangerous, but they did not return. The reason why Xing Hongxian was willing to return was that she had already obtained the sage's inheritance and was qualified to avoid the calamity. Hanju then went to visit Zhou Fan, Mo Fuzhou, and Ji Xianxin in their dreams. The three of them rejected his good intentions. Zhou Fan and Ji Xianxin still challenged him. However, he did not give them a chance and directly cancelled the dream. Hanju thought of Mo Zhu again. This girl had not done anything for a long time. He immediately dreamed, but he was shocked to find that he could not find her. He hurriedly clicked on Mo Zhu's profile picture. He was shocked. Why did this girl reach the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm? With her potential, how could she cultivate so fast? Hanju immediately deduced. I want to know, why can't I visit Mo Zhu's dream? 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Sage Dao Field. There are great Dao restrictions to isolate your mystical power. Sage Dao Field. Hanju was shocked. Why was Mo Zhu also chosen by a sage? Hanju continued. I want to know which sage it is. 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Li Muyi Cultivation Unknown. Transcendent Dao Expert, Sect Master of the Human School, Creator of the Sword Dao. His existence is untraceable. Because you refused to protect the Sword Dao River, his impression of you has worsened. He thinks that your personality is not worthy of being a sword cultivator. Current hatred points, 1 star. Sect Master of the Human School. Hanju frowned. Didn't this fellow look down on him? Why did he want to take Mo Zhu away? It was definitely not a coincidence. Sages could see through karma. The moment they saw Mo Zhu, they knew that she was related to him. I want to know why Li Mui took in Mo Zhu. Hanju continued to ask in his heart. 5 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. I didn't even blink when spending 600 billion years of lifespan. What's 10 billion now? Continue. Hanju thought firmly. Being targeted by a sage was really unpleasant. And there was more than one now. Hanju's consciousness entered the illusion. It was an endless hall. An old man sat on a mat. He looked extremely tiny here, like a firefly in the night. Li Mui. He wore a Taoist robe and had white hair and a youthful face. He had a sage-like bearing and looked very similar to ancestor Shitian. He suddenly opened his eyes and frowned, muttering, "The human school is facing a calamity." At this moment, a figure appeared in front of him. Li Mui immediately stood up and bowed. Hanju frowned. Who was this person? To be able to make Li Mui bow, he was not simple. Could it be the Tao ancestor? No, the Tao ancestor was long gone, and he had not disappeared recently. How old was Emoju? The timing did not match. If the human school wants to transcend the tribulation, it needs to rely on variables. Are you still paying attention to that variable? The figure spoke with an ethereal voice. Li Mui said, "Master, I'm paying attention to him. This child has a weak personality and only cares about immortality. It's probably very difficult to change the heavenly Tao, let alone the great Tao. Can we rely on him?" The figure replied, "The variable is something that even us sages can't predict. If we want to break through, we can only rely on him. The three schools of the Tao sect are powerless before the great Tao calamity." Li Mui frowned. He said in a low voice, "Daokong is very concerned about him and wants to take him in as a disciple, but he rejected him. He's not easy to approach." The figure said, "This child doesn't have much karma, but he values relationships. You can take this woman as your disciple." He waved his right hand, and Emoju's figure appeared beside him like a projection. Li Mui frowned even harder and said, "This mortal's potential is too poor. She's not worthy." You don't listen to me anymore?" "All right," Li Mui agreed helplessly. Then the scene shattered. Hanju opened his eyes. They were filled with worry. How many mighty figures were watching him? "I want to know, who is Li Mui's master?" Hanju continued to think. That fellow sounded so cool just now. How strong must he be to accept a sage as his disciple? 50 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Hanju gritted his teeth and made his choice. Curiosity killed the cat. The identity of the sage was too enticing. Lousy cultivation unknown. Transcendent Tao expert, first disciple of the Tao ancestor. Founder of the human school, immeasurable emperor. Sword Tao sovereign gasped the legendary Lousy. This person had a high status in Chinese mythology and history. Hanju did not expect him to really exist. It seemed that he was not as simple as a heavenly Tao sage. Stronger. Could it be that he had already reached the great Tao level? How strong was Hongjun? Hanju cursed silently. If this was really the background of the primordial world, wouldn't he have arrived in an era countless times later than Journey to the West? Perhaps the primordial world and legends were these sages' projections of the heavens. They visited all living beings and let their legends spread widely. Chapter 423 Nua's Dream, Heavenly Emperor's Fall. Chapter 423 Nua's Dream. Heavenly Emperors fall apart from him. There were also Dijuan and Nua, and the latter was about to give up her identity as a heavenly Tao sage. Hanju increasingly felt that the existences above were unfathomable. He was also curious about the impression and effect of this variable in the sage's eyes. He clearly felt that Li Mui looked down on him. Although Nua wanted to rope him in, she did not have a good impression of him. Could it be that sages were really heartless? Impossible. How could they be impartial? Ever since he experienced this calamity, Hanju felt that sages were fighting for benefits and didn't even care about people's lives. It could be said that they were extremely selfish. Hanju shook his head and stopped thinking about this. Then he thought of Huang Zuantian and Su Qi. Should he visit their dreams? Su Qi was in the dark forbidden zone, so he should be fine. Huang Zuantian's current identity was sensitive. Hanju did not want to visit his dreams. In addition to Jing Tiangong's existence, it would not be good if he was connected to the identity of the dark forbidden lord. Hanju stopped the technique and continued cultivating. This was all he could do. Next, he waited for the calamity to descend. 40 years passed in a flash. Hanju still cursed once every 10 years. Although Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had become a heavenly devil, his portrait was still there. so Hanju had to keep cursing him. All these years, he had not left the cave abode and cultivated in peace. His cultivation had improved greatly. Hanju couldn't understand the immortal world, because it had always been the humans and the heavenly court fighting. The news of the war filled his emails. Other than the war, he couldn't see any other news. On this day, Hanju finally felt Xing Hongxian using the invocation technique. To be safe, he still deduced first. After spending 100 million years of his lifespan, and confirming that Xing Hongxian was not being watched, he rushed to the immortal world's void. Passing through the dark vortex, Hanju saw Xing Hongxian. She wore a white dress and was dazzling. She was beautiful and devastatingly beautiful. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Seeing him appear, Xing Hongxian immediately flew over and smiled. Let's go. Hanju nodded and put her into his sleeve. Then, he stepped into the black vortex and returned to the Khanate cave abode. After Hanju released Xing Hongxian, he began to control Hidden Sect Island to move. Although the dark forbidden zone was very safe, it was good to be careful. Xing Hongxian wandered around the cave abode and sighed. This place still hasn't changed even after so many years. The strange deity sized her up curiously, surprised that she had come out of Hanju's body. Your cave abode is still there. Go, Hanju said. Xing Hongxian came up to him. Her beautiful eyes filled with excitement. She covered her mouth and laughed. Husband, I'm not free. Fine. Xing Hongxian curled her lips and could only leave. Hanju was busy running away and didn't have the time to do those things with her. Xing Hongxian attracted everyone's attention as she walked out of the cave abode. She had already changed her appearance after reincarnation. No one could recognize her. The black hell chicken was the first to recognize her. It remembered Xing Hongshuan's aura, or more accurately her soul aura. After Xing Hongshuan's identity was exposed, everyone was shocked. After understanding it, they muttered in their hearts. She can even increase her potential like this? Chu Shuren guessed. It shouldn't be as simple as just a reincarnation. He guessed that it might be related to Empress Hutu. Otherwise, how could she have been born with such a great background so quickly? Diamond Rage and Tu Linger were from the Magus race. It was understandable that Empress Huta helped Hanju. The Black Hell Chicken looked at the three-headed WRM King and said, Do you want to reincarnate? The three-headed WRM King said angrily, I don't need it. The current him was already at the bottom of the hidden sect. He had already guessed that the Black Hell Chicken was mocking him. Xing Hongxian didn't stay for long. She quickly left, while the others continued to chat. An hour later, Hanju stopped the hidden sect island. He exhaled, the uneasiness in his heart finally subsiding. Xing Hongxian had returned from the human race. Even if they lost, it had nothing to do with Hanju. As for his other good friends, Hanju had already advised them anyway. If they really died, he could only pray for them in the endless and boring years ahead. If it's a battle between sages, it's best to come later. If not, it's best to go even earlier. Hanju thought silently, and continued to absorb the negative karma in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Half a year later, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Empress Nuwa sent you a dream. Do you accept it? Hanju wasn't surprised. He pretended not to see it, and continued to absorb negative karma. Empress Nuwa sent you a dream. Do you accept it? Again, Hanju neither rejected nor accepted it. In the following days, Nuwa would try to send him a dream from time to time. It was even more frequent than the Dijuan back then. He finally pulled Xing Hongxian out. Hanju didn't want to enter the calamity. He would attain the Tao in the future. If he encountered Empress Nuwa asking about this, he would pretend not to know. The signal of the dark forbidden zone was not good. 10 days later, Nuwa finally gave up. Hanju didn't receive her hatred either. As expected of a sage, she wouldn't develop emotions without understanding the truth. Since he had nothing to do, Hanju checked the emails. Your grand disciple Feng Liang was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by your good friend Jiang Dugu, and was severely injured. Your good friend Divine General was attacked by a deity realm human and was severely injured. Your good friend Pan Xian was attacked by a heavenly court mighty figure. Your disciple Su Qi has broken through his limits and created his own Dao technique. Because of your curse, the killing intent of your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yin has increased. He slaughtered humans and was suppressed by the human race's sage. Your good friend Zhou Fan has obtained the human emperor's inheritance and joined the human race. His providence has transformed. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou has joined the human race. His providence has transformed. Han Ju was amused upon seeing that Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was suppressed by Fuxishan. Bastard. Serves you right. Han Ju also noticed that Zhou Fan and Mo Fuzhou had changed allegiance to the human race. These two traitors. They were not the only ones. Some immortals had also changed sides. If not for the outcome of the calamity, Han Ju really didn't dare to believe that the heavenly court could win. After all, they had too many traitors. As he read, Han Ju noticed another email. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor has fused with an inferior strange deity. He has regained control of his body and devoured the inferior strange deity. He has transformed into a chaotic evil spirit. Was the Heavenly Emperor saved, or had he turned to the dark side? Han Ju checked the Heavenly Emperor's portrait and discovered that he was showing a strange and sinister smile. It was evil and terrifying, like a villain who wanted to overturn all living beings. Han Ju had no choice but to use the derivation function. I want to know the outcome of the Heavenly Emperor after the calamity. 2 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Han Ju's consciousness fell into the illusion. He arrived at the numinous palace. The hall was clean and bright, filled with faint golden light. The Heavenly Emperor, dressed in a black dragon robe, sat on the throne and stared at the sky outside the hall. Han Ju turned around and discovered that the sky outside the numinous palace was pitch black. There was no night in the 9th level of heaven. Chapter 424 Jade Slip of Creation, Crazy Devil. Chapter 424 Jade Slip of Creation. Crazy Devil. As Han Ju was wondering why night had appeared on the 9th day, the Heavenly Emperor suddenly stood up and laughed wildly. Since you're here, why don't you show yourself? Are you afraid of me? Han Ju was secretly nervous. The outcome of the calamity had changed again. Who would appear next? If it was someone he knew, that would be fine. However, he was afraid that there would be another unknown figure. There were countless mighty figures in the myriad worlds. There were countless peerless mighty figures hidden in the dark. Han Ju had always been in seclusion, so he didn't understand the immortal world or the heavenly Tao. A ball of flames appeared in front of the numinous palace's door. The flames parted and a figure appeared. Han Ju focused his gaze. This person was dressed in black armor and had a cloak on his back. His hair was disheveled, and he had a murderous aura. He looked like a sinister general from the 9 nether hell. Han Ju took a closer look. This person looked familiar. This fellow was Zhou Fan. Han Ju was stunned. The calamity had just ended, but Zhou Fan was already so powerful? This aura did not feel inferior to Zhu Tuesday. The Heavenly Emperor smiled disdainfully. If not for the fact that you are a sage's dharma idol and have the protection of a sage, you would have died in my hands. Zhou Fan said calmly. I've lost to many people in my life, but as long as I'm still alive, I can surpass them, including you, the Heavenly Emperor. In the war between the humans and gods, you devoured the grudges of all living beings everywhere, preventing countless ghosts from reincarnating. If the heavenly Tao can't suppress you, I'll do it. Are you prepared to accept the blood debt of billions of humans? Han Ju frowned. The Heavenly Emperor had turned dark, but the human race was still going to perish? The Heavenly Emperor laughed loudly. You, mortal, you're just a pawn. Do you know why I can still be the Heavenly Emperor? He raised his right hand, and an extremely terrifying aura erupted. Even though it was an illusion, Han Ju couldn't help but tremble in fear. I've already surpassed the heavenly Tao. So what if you're a sage's dharma idol? You're not a sage after all. The scene in front of Han Ju shattered, and his consciousness returned to reality. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBoxNovel.com. Thanks. His frown eased. Although the Heavenly Emperor had turned dark, it was fine as long as he survived this immeasurable calamity. The so-called dark side itself was subjective. In this chaotic era, what was wrong with trying his best to survive? Furthermore, the war between humans and gods was not caused by the Heavenly Emperor. It was controlled by those high and mighty sages. A single thought from a sage would cause billions of living beings to die. Wasn't this a sin? Hanju decided to enter the Heavenly Emperor's dream. He used the image of the Dark Forbidden Lord. After entering the dream, Hanju saw the Heavenly Emperor. It was very similar to the image of the Heavenly Emperor in the illusion. His imperial robe became dark, and his body emitted a terrifying evil aura. This evil aura was identical to the strange deity, but it was not as unfathomable. The Heavenly Emperor wasn't surprised to see him. Instead, he smiled. Before Hanju could speak, the Heavenly Emperor smiled and said, "I was right. Hanju, you've already reached the Zenith Heaven realm, right?" Hanju's heart jumped, but he didn't panic. How did the Heavenly Emperor know his true identity? He must be probing. Ever since you came to find me, Jade Emperor Zhou Yin has begun to decline. I just fused with an evil spirit, and you appeared. You really care about me. The Heavenly Emperor smiled faintly with a sinister expression. Hanju wasn't used to his attitude and asked in his mind, "Is the Heavenly Emperor tricking me? 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" A lie detection required 100 million years? Damn system. Continue. Hanju cursed in his head. He's testing you, eh? It was indeed a test. Hanju wasn't nervous anymore. Although the Heavenly Emperor's favorability towards him did not decrease, the identity of the Dark Forbidden Lord was too important. He had to be wary. You don't have to admit it. I understand. If not for your help, I'm afraid my body and soul would have been destroyed. The Heavenly Emperor smiled and said, I plan to use the negative karma of this place to attain the Tao. I need a new identity so badly. How about I become the Dark Forbidden Lord's envoy in the future? Hanju said, There's no need to guess. Many people do things in my name. Besides, you are the Heavenly Emperor. How can you escape the heavenly secrets? The Heavenly Emperor said indifferently, I have already transformed. In the eyes of the 9 heavens, I have already been possessed. The former Heavenly Emperor no longer exists. Only you know that I am still my original self. When I attain the Tao, I will protect you and make sure you no longer have to hide in the dark. You will help me curse some existences. How about that? Hanju remained silent. He was fucking luring him into the calamity. It was fine if the Heavenly Emperor did not know his identity, but now, he forcefully guessed that he was the Dark Forbidden Lord. If he followed the Heavenly Emperor's plan, would he be accidentally deduced by the sages? I know what you're worried about. In the calamity, sages can't deduce the people facing the calamity, let alone deduce the karma on me, because I have a supreme treasure left behind by the Tao ancestor. The Heavenly Emperor said confidently. Hanju wasn't at ease, and deduced the supreme treasure mentioned by the Heavenly Emperor. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Stability was the key to wealth, Jade Slip of Creation, ruined chaotic supreme treasure, a relic of the Tao ancestor. It can block the heavenly secrets and all karmic deductions. Really? How impressive. Are you sure it's on the Heavenly Emperor? Confirm. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief and said, Who do you need me to curse? The Heavenly Emperor said, Curse Great 9 Heavens and Jade Emperor Zhou Yin to death first. They might expose my current identity. Yes, they plotted against Li Daokong. I won't let them go anyway. Hanju responded and removed the dream. After returning to reality, Hanju felt regret. He was almost exposed. He had to be more careful in the future. He couldn't be fooled. As for cursing Great 9 Heavens and Jade Emperor Zhou Yin, it suited Hanju's intentions. The Heavenly Emperor had the fragment of the Jade Slip of Creation. Sages couldn't deduce it. As long as he did not say it, Hanju would not be exposed. Hanju still trusted the Heavenly Emperor. As long as he did not admit it personally, the Heavenly Emperor would not force the blame on him. Hanju shook his head. and continued cultivating. He used boring cultivation to dilute his restlessness and uneasiness. 20 years later, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Jade Emperor Zhou Yan while checking his emails. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong and was severely injured. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor has entered the ancient forbidden ground. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has inherited the providence of the ancient races. He has fused with the primordial divine body, and his cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by a deity realm cultivator of the heavenly court and was severely injured. A remnant soul managed to escape. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong and was severely injured. Your good friend Tai Sutian has inherited the main body's cultivation, and her providence has transformed. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong and was severely injured. Li Daokong went mad again. This fellow seemed to chase after whoever defeated him. He was simply a crazy devil. Hanju was speechless. Jiang Dugu was a terrifying existence that suppressed the primordial Yuan Phoenix. Moreover, he was also from the human school. Internal strife in the human school? Sighing, Hanju focused on Feng Liang. His expression became strange. Chapter 425 Birth of 3,000 Fiend Celestials. Chapter 425 Birth of 3,000 Fiend Celestials. Feng Liang's cultivation level had actually increased to the rank 5 Immortal Emperor realm. Too fast. How long had he been at the Emperor realm? Cheating? Definitely. Hanju fell into deep thought. Feng Liang's rapid progress was definitely related to his soul transmigration. This kid had definitely set up a trap in the primordial era. He didn't know why he could escape the eyes of a sage. Perhaps the Tao ancestor was helping him. If this continued, this kid might be able to reach the Zenith Heaven realm before the calamity ended. Forget it, he couldn't care less. Hanju could only wish that his grand disciple could survive this calamity. Let's break through to the mid-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm first. I'm too weak now. I didn't even curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to death. Hanju shook his head and continued cursing Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. In a cave abode, Xuemingyi looked at a black-robed man across the table with a smile. The black-robed man was the Heavenly Emperor. Are you really not the Heavenly Emperor? Xuemingyi asked with a smile. The Heavenly Emperor replied. The Heavenly Emperor is already dead. I only occupied his body. You can deduce my karma. I plan to pretend to be the previous Heavenly Emperor. And when Heavenly Emperor Feng is defeated, I will control the Heavenly Court in one go, and help the Dark Forbidden Lord seize the Heavenly Tao Force. At the mention of the Dark Forbidden Lord, Xuemingyi's expression turned solemn, as if the Dark Forbidden Lord was secretly staring at him. The Heavenly Emperor said, I need you to help me spread the news that the Chan School is secretly manipulating the war of humans and gods. Not only the Chan School but also the Jie School. Xuemingyi frowned. What about the human school? Although the 3 schools of the Tao sect are no longer glorious, they are still a sage sect. The 3 schools are united against the outside world. If we rashly disrupt their plan... The Heavenly Emperor interrupted him. The Dark Forbidden Lord is related to the human school. He cares about Li Daokong very much. Xuemingyi was stunned. Didn't the Dark Forbidden Lord like the Heavenly Court? I see. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. No wonder Li Daokong was so loyal to the Heavenly Court. Without his support, how could that kid, Heavenly Emperor Feng, sit firmly on the Heavenly Emperor's throne? Xuemingyi was enlightened. Everything made sense now. How could a peerless mighty figure like the Dark Forbidden Lord suddenly appear in the world? But it made sense if it came from the most mysterious human school. Xuemingyi had no grudge with the human school, so this matter only made him more confident. No problem. Leave this to me. I'm best at this kind of thing. Xuemingyi smiled proudly. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan had lost his reputation because of him. The Heavenly Emperor nodded. I still need your support in the Heavenly Court. From now on, I will help the Forbidden Lord recruit more followers and unite a new era of the Heavenly Tao. Xuemingyi smiled. All right. As long as you need me, Feel free to ask. He cursed silently. Bastard. This guy wants to fight for credit. Xue Mingyi wanted to be the most trusted aide of the Dark Forbidden Lord. He couldn't let this fellow surpass him. After returning to Hidden Sect Island, Xing Hongxian discovered that even if she obtained the sage's inheritance, she could not become the strongest prodigy of the Hidden Sect. Especially towards Li Yao, Xing Hongxian felt a strong sense of danger. This woman was too similar to Hanju. If he chose a Dao companion, he would definitely choose a woman like her. Xing Hongxian could only work hard and not relax. She had thought that she could relax after returning. Unexpectedly, she was working even harder than when she was staying in the human Holy Land. From the looks of it, the Hidden Sect was stronger than the human race's Holy Lands? Xing Hongxian shook her head and laughed, feeling that she had been thinking too much. Xing Hongxian wasn't the only one who felt the pressure. The others were the same. There were endless conflicts in the immortal world, and the internal affairs of the Hidden Sect were no longer relaxed. Fortunately, there was good competition. Years passed. About 50 years passed. Hanju's cultivation improved greatly. He finally felt that the mid-stage of the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm was no longer far away. He actually had the urge to cry. How many years had it been? This was the longest time between breakthroughs. However, although he was not far, it would still take more than a few decades. On this day, the strange deity approached Hanju again and wanted to enter his body. He didn't stop it. The intelligence of the strange god hadn't increased for a long time. It was like Hanju's pet. Ever since he obtained the ancient god's memories from the strange deity, Hanju felt that it still had a special function, but the current system couldn't detect it. Could it be that there was another sign or reaction? Under Hanju's expectations, the strange deity completely entered his body. Then, Hanju's eyes widened and he muttered, "Are you playing with me?" The strange deity sneaked into his soul universe and wandered around wantonly and happily. It didn't help him at all. Hanju sealed the reroll world to prevent the strange deity from harming it. The strange gods could easily destroy a mortal world. After a while, Hanju suddenly sensed something. He began to use his inner vision and discovered that the strange deity was stopped in the sea of stars. It split into two balls of black mist. The two balls of black mist were condensing. At first glance, it looked like the strange god had laid two eggs. Hanju seemed to have thought of something. He immediately used the chaotic body and condensed the Dharma idols of the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial and the 9 nether Fiend Celestial on the two balls of black mist. The Fiend Celestial Dharma idols began to fuse with the black mist. Could it be? Hanju widened his eyes, and his breathing quickened. The strange deity had inherited the providence of all the chaotic Fiend Celestials. Hanju might be able to create 3,000 chaotic Fiend Celestials again using the mysterious power of the Grand Unity aspect and the strange deity. Hanju became excited the moment this thought appeared. If he could control the 3,000 chaotic Fiend Celestials, wouldn't he be invincible? For a time, Hanju's favorability towards the strange deity rose to 100 stars. The strange deity was already completely controlled by him. Everything it created was naturally controlled by him. Hanju began to observe the two balls of black mist. Unfortunately, the fusion did not succeed. Hanju continued to try. After hundreds of times, the two balls of black mist finally retained a bit of the power of the Fiend Celestial. At least it was a good beginning. Chaotic Fiend Celestials were not so easy to create. Otherwise, they would be everywhere. As long as it worked, it was worth it even if it took a long time. Several months later, the strange deity left Hanju's body. The two balls of black mist were still in the universe of stars. Hanju named them the Fiend Celestial Qi. The Fiend Celestial Qi slowly absorbed the nebulous primordial Qi in the universe. As if it was cultivating, Hanju stopped paying attention to them and continued cultivating. Heavenly Court Numinous Palace. Feng Liang sat on the throne expressionlessly. Below him stood Li Daokong and Li Xianao. Li Xianao had an impatient expression as he said, "The Heavenly Court can no longer cooperate with Chan and Jie schools. Otherwise, the human school will leave. Now, all the living beings in the immortal world think that it was the calamity caused by the 3 schools of the Dao sect But our human school only took advantage of the situation and did not plan to harm all living beings. Li Xian'eo was truly furious and spoke bluntly. Li Daokong was expressionless. He stared at Fang Liang, waiting for his answer. Fang Liang said calmly, "Do you really think that the human school isn't involved? Jiang Dugu even dared to attack you. Is the human school really united? Although you're the two orthodox disciples, have you thought about why Jade Emperor Zhou Yin dared to attack you without restraint?" Chapter 426 Jade Emperor's Death, Becoming the Heavenly Tao. Chapter 426 Jade Emperor's Death, Becoming the Heavenly Tao. Hearing Fang Liang's words, Li Xian'eo's expression instantly turned ashen, as if he had been struck. He had actually doubted it before, but there was no response. He could only give up. Li Xian'eo and Li Daokong had already entered the calamity. It was too late even if they wanted to retreat. Li Daokong slowly said, "I wonder if your majesty is fighting for yourself or for the sages?" Fang Liang chuckled. "Why ask so clearly? The two of you have been under the protection of the human school, and have grown up before you even experienced it. You can actually feel what I want." Li Daokong frowned. Li Xian'eo was furious. He drew his sword and said, "Fang Liang, you're really arrogant. Do you really think that the two of us are your subordinates?" Fang Liang shook his head and said, "Am I not respectful enough to the two of you? It's just that it involves the sage's plan. I have no right to say anything." Li Daokong turned around. "Junior, let's go." Li Xian'eo glared at Fang Liang before turning around. After the two of them left, the smile on Fang Liang's face vanished. He clenched his fists in his sleeves, thinking about something. 10 years later, the Hidden Sect's 100-year competition had just ended. Among Han Zhu's disciples, no one could defeat Li Yao. Jiang Yi fought with Li Yao for a long time. After this battle, he could no longer remain calm. He was the #1 prodigy of the Golden Crow Divine Clan. How could he be caught up by a junior? Most importantly, the other party was only a woman. Xing Hongxian didn't participate in the competition, but she was stunned by the simulation trial. She was very curious about Han Zhu's cultivation. She had never seen such a mystical power in the human Holy Land. She had heard that Han Zhu had already reached the Zenith Heaven realm. Such speed. Too ridiculous. Xing Hongxian was already a prodigy, but she knew that Han Zhu was younger than her. When the two of them first met, he was still a youth. Han Zhu didn't pay attention to this 100-year competition. It was organized by Morongqi and there was no reward. However, everyone from the Hidden Sect looked forward to it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. On this day, Han Zhu stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune. He cursed and checked his emails. The war between the humans and the Heavenly Court continued. It was impossible to tell who would win for the time being. Li Daokong was still fighting Jiang Dugu. He had also been severely injured. Han Zhu couldn't understand the thoughts of the cultivators of the human school. They seemed to be even more excited to hit their own people. This time, Han Zhu planned to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yin for 50 billion years. However, Han Zhu's lifespan had just decreased by 40 billion years when he saw an email. Because of your curse, your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yin suffered an attack from negative karma. His dermic powers surged and his last trace of will was devoured by the heavenly devil. He died and his Tao dissipated. He was finally dead. Han Zhu hurriedly checked his interpersonal relationships. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's portrait had completely disappeared. He heaved a sigh of relief. Another 6-star aggro user was killed by him. This was the true path of cultivation. Anyone else could die but myself. Han Zhu chanted the Tathagata incantation and used it to send Jade Emperor Zhou Yin off. Although Jade Emperor Zhou Yin was already dead, Han Zhu would feel better if he did this. After all, this was a mighty figure, the immeasurable emperor, a terrifying existence that shook the world. Han Zhu felt a little sorry for making him die without anyone knowing. This guilt did not last long though. There was another person to curse now. Great Nine Heavens. Continue cursing. 5 days later, Han Zhu put down the Book of Misfortune and continued cultivating to break through to the mid-stage golden immortal realm. At the same time, The two blobs of fiend celestial qi in his body were still constantly absorbing the nebulous primordial qi in the stellar universe. Apart from the reroll world, these stars had yet to give birth to any living beings. They were like reserves of dermic powers. Hanju had an idea. If this universe of stars formed a living universe, wouldn't he become the heavenly Tao? Was there a possibility that the so-called chaos itself was the body of an unimaginable existence? Thinking of this possibility, Hanju couldn't help but shiver. How strong was such an existence? As a zenith heaven golden immortal, Hanju was not only powerful, but he could also see through many heavenly Tao rules and karmic fate. However, he couldn't sense what was outside the heavenly Tao, like the dark forbidden zone. Once it involved the heavenly Tao, he couldn't sense anything. This was the difference in cultivation level. Perhaps when he became a sage, he would be able to sense existences outside the heavenly Tao. It was said that the deity realm of the ruins of End was hidden in the dark forbidden zone. Hanju had yet to encounter it. Immortal world human race. On an altar, Zhou Fan stood proudly. Thunderclouds rumbled in the sky, forming a huge and terrifying vortex. Mo Fuzhou and the geniuses of the various races stood below the platform discussing. Brother Zhou is really impressive. He can actually trigger the heavenly Tao. It's said that he has already obtained the human emperor's inheritance. I wonder which human emperor it is. This is the golden age of the human race. With the inheritances of all the past human emperors, we will definitely be able to defeat the heavenly court. Sigh. 10 million people have just died in the 7th level of the battlefield. It's too tragic. Can't both sides negotiate? We can't. It's said that the sages want to change the protagonist of the heavenly Tao. Our human race has been abandoned. Hearing the geniuses' discussion, Mo Fuzhou couldn't help but shake his head. In the battle between the humans and heavenly court, he couldn't say who was right and who was wrong, but both sides had their own ambitions. At this point, it didn't matter who was right or wrong. Zhou Fan suddenly turned to look at Mo Fuzhou and smiled. Brother Mo, what do you think of the heavenly Tao? Can it defeat Hanju? He raised his right hand, and all the heavenly Tao lightning interwove in his palm. At this moment he was like a god. Mo Fuzhou smiled. Why are you always thinking about winning against him? You obtained so many opportunities, but he has always been in seclusion. It's not fair to think about him again. Zhou Fan was already an immortal emperor, and there were very few opponents among the emperor realm. No matter how talented Hanju was, he had always been in seclusion. How could he compare to Zhou Fan? For some reason, I feel that I'm not his match. Zhou Fan shook his head and smiled. He felt that he had been tortured till insanity. Apart from Hanju, he was confident in dealing with anyone, even if they were ancient mighty figures. However, every time he thought of Hanju, he inexplicably lost his confidence. Mo Fuzhou didn't reply. Instead, he looked up at the rolling thunderclouds with envy. He also wanted to be like Zhou Fan, but his providence was inferior, and he was not as ruthless. There was once a fortuitous encounter that appeared in front of them. The two of them endured the pain together. He was the first to retreat. Zhou Fan gritted his teeth and endured it until he finally obtained the inheritance. After that, Mo Fuzhou knew that he would never catch up to Zhou Fan. He was also filled with anticipation for him. As long as he survived this immeasurable calamity, Zhou Fan would definitely rise. At that time, they would realize their ambitions. At this moment, a figure flew over on a sword. A powerful aura directly dispersed the heavenly Tao thundercloud. Everyone turned to look. It's Zhao Xianyuan, someone exclaimed. Everyone became nervous after hearing this name. Zhou Fan turned around and frowned. Zhao Xianyuan was handsome and graceful like an immortal. He came to the top of Zhou Fan's head and said condescendingly, "You come out with me. I'll give you an opportunity." Chapter 427 Mysterious Mighty Figure, Tragedy. Chapter 427 Mysterious Mighty Figure, Tragedy. Fortuitous encounter? What fortuitous encounter? Zhou Fan frowned. He didn't interact much with Zhao Xianyuan, and did not dare to trust him easily. Zhao Xianyuan said expressionlessly, "I can't say for the time being. There are other unparalleled geniuses following you. You're barely qualified." If not for the leader telling me to bring 10 people, I wouldn't think much of you. Zhou Fan was furious. This fellow was too pretentious. However, the opportunity tempted him. He had relied on fortuitous encounters to reach this point. He didn't want to miss any opportunity. Zhou Fan saw that Zhao Xianyuan was so arrogant, and did not seem like he was lying. Cheaters were usually quite enthusiastic. Zhao Xuanyuan's attitude clearly showed that he didn't want Zhou Fan to come. Zhou Fan said, "All right, I'll go." Zhao Xianyuan left after saying, "See you in 7 days in front of the eastern wasteland." Mo Fuzhou jumped onto the altar and said in a low voice, "You're already so powerful. Why are you still taking the risk?" Zhou Fan said calmly, "Brother Mo, I can't stop on this path. When I obtain a great opportunity, I'll definitely give you some good stuff." Mo Fuzhou sighed helplessly. Zhou Fan said that every time, and kept his promise. So Mo Fuzhou was really worried that something would happen to him. The two of them had experienced too many things together, when they fought from the mortal world to the immortal world. Now they were the most important people to each other. Mo Fuzhou could only look forward to Zhou Fan. He didn't even dare to follow, afraid that he would burden him. Zhou Fan had been implicated by him many times, and had even died in his hands. Another 10 years passed. Han Ju was cursing Great Nine Heavens. He hadn't broken through for nearly 600 years. But he couldn't ignore his usual mission. He estimated that he would reach the mid-stage Zenith Heaven realm in less than 100 years. After reaching the mid-stage, would the late stage still be far? After reaching the late stage, would perfection still be a problem? Wouldn't the pseudo-sage stage be in sight? Han Ju tried his best to motivate himself. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. On this day, he suddenly sensed that someone was summoning him in the chaotic domain. He ignored it and cursed first. For the next 3 days, someone kept summoning him. He only entered the chaotic domain after the curse ended. Zhao Xianyuan and Dao Sovereign immediately rushed over. "Fellow Daoist, brother, you're finally here." Facing the two of them, Han Ju said angrily, "You're asking me for help again?" Dao Sovereign said, "Brother, you've already helped me more than once. If you help me again, I won't forget your kindness. If you need anything in the future, I'll definitely agree, no matter what it is." Zhao Xianyuan sighed and lowered his head. Han Ju asked, "How can I help?" Dao Sovereign said, "Help me send a message to Heavenly Emperor Feng. Say that we are trapped in the endless sea of blood, and that we have discovered a huge conspiracy that threatens the myriad worlds." Han Ju said, "What benefits can I obtain? Where's the Dao literature from last time?" Dao Sovereign said helplessly, "The Dao runes are too profound. We can't comprehend them for the time being. If we can meet face to face, I can give it to you. I can't teach it now. How about this? If you help us, we'll give you a supreme treasure. This treasure is an extremely mysterious jade slip. Our divine sense can't break through the restriction inside. If we give it to you, you might be able to." And Ju could only say, "All right, this is the last time. There won't be a next time." Dao Sovereign smiled. "Why? In any case, I'm not putting you in danger. You aren't affected by karma, and will directly obtain benefits. Isn't that good? You can also fight for the opportunities without any worries." Zhao Xianyuan added, "It's not only us this time. Many geniuses of the human race have been suppressed. This is very important." Han Ju glanced at him and said angrily, "Are you following him on his wrong ways? I think you should become my disciple, and let me educate you." Zhao Xianyuan was embarrassed. He coughed and said, "Fellow Daoist, you're really funny." He was always very nervous when facing Han Ju. For some reason, he felt that Han Ju was very strong, perhaps even stronger than Dao Sovereign. Dao Sovereign was so powerful, and still had to rely on Han Ju to save his life. Most importantly, Dao Sovereign didn't know Han Ju's true identity. Dao Sovereign had heard the Heavenly Emperor mention it before. In any case, the Heavenly Emperor was very protective of Han Ju, and didn't reveal anything. It could be seen that Han Ju's status was very high. That's all. Give that treasure to Heavenly Emperor Feng later. Han Ju waved his hand and went off. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Hanju took out the Heavenly Dao token and contacted Feng Liang, telling him about Dao Sovereign's request. Feng Liang immediately agreed, not even asking where the endless sea of blood was. The Heavenly Court definitely had a way to find it. Hanju put down the Heavenly Dao token and released the strange deity. The strange deity pounced into his arms and rubbed against him affectionately. Hanju smiled softly. Don't be like those guys in the future. They're useless and like to go around looking for trouble. The strange deity tilted its head as if thinking about what Hanju was saying. He continued to cultivate. The water of the endless sea of blood was blood red. At the bottom of the sea was a huge barrier. Dozens of people were meditating inside. Dao Sovereign, Zhao Xinyuan, Zhou Fan, and the others were among them. Zhao Xinyuan suddenly stood up and said, "Everyone, we've already asked for help. The Heavenly Court will come and save us soon." A human prodigy asked in surprise, "Isn't divine sense unable to penetrate the barrier?" Dao Sovereign smiled faintly. "Don't forget, we have the chaotic physique. Such a physique has its own domain. Don't worry, the person I entrusted this mission with is very reliable." Another person asked, "We're the prodigies of the human race. Will the Heavenly Court?" Dao Sovereign interrupted. "Heavenly Emperor Feng is also a human. The battle between the immortal gods and the humans is a battle for providence. You're all pawns and will not be targeted." These words sounded mocking, but they also heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou Fan nodded. He still trusted Feng Liang. He asked curiously, "Who is the person you trust?" Zhao Xinyuan shook his head and said, "That person might be a senior. He's not someone you can understand." Zhou Fan cursed silently. "Stop pretending." Previously, he had sworn that there was a huge opportunity, but in the end, they were all suppressed here. Dao Sovereign closed his eyes and said, "All of you can continue cultivating. There will be a fierce battle next." The geniuses looked at each other. Another 10 years passed. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Great Nine Heavens while checking his emails. He suddenly saw 2 emails. Your good friend Dao Sovereign was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. His body was destroyed, leaving only a remnant soul. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. His body melted and his soul was tortured, giving birth to mental demons. So tragic. Hanju showed a frown. Feng Liang did not send anyone to save them? Hanju could only mourn for them. In any case, he had already done what he could. He couldn't consume his lifespan for the 2 of them. Zhou Fan would definitely be able to hold on. However, no matter how he looked at it, he felt like Dao Sovereign was a goner this time. Unfortunately, Hanju had yet to see the domineering attitude of Dao Sovereign when he grew up in the future. As long as a prodigy like Dao Sovereign survived, he would definitely become a peerless mighty figure like Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. He might even have a chance to attain the Dao. Chapter 428 Breakthrough. The Dark Forbidden Lord is a Sage? Chapter 428 Breakthrough. The Dark Forbidden Lord is a Sage? Hanju looked at his interpersonal relationships. After confirming that Zhou Fan and Dao Sovereign's portraits were still there, he no longer cared about them. Everyone had their own fate. If there was a conflict, one would die. Hanju focused on cursing Great Nine Heavens. It had been so long. He wondered how the situation was with this fellow. However, if Great Nine Heavens perished, Hanju's curse would fail. He would sense it, so Great Nine Heavens was still alive. This fellow might be stronger than Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. He wouldn't be cursed to death so easily. Most importantly, this fellow had yet to travel the immortal world, and Hanju couldn't lead him on. To all living beings, they did not know of the existence of Great Nine Heavens. Several days later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and continued cultivating. About 57 years passed. Hanju finally had a chance to break through. He released the strange deity and began to break through. Previously, the strange deity had helped him break through. He didn't know if it would work this time. Breaking through also required time. After 9 years, Hanju finally broke through. The dermic powers in the Zenith Heaven Dao fruit began to increase. Hanju could clearly feel his body and soul transforming. This feeling was extremely wonderful. As he consolidated his cultivation, He checked his attributes panel. Name: Hanju, lifespan: 6,677/30 quintillion 49 quadrillion 999 trillion 999 billion 999 million 999,999 race: Primordial Fiend Celestial. Cultivation: Mid-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm. Technique: Primordial Chaos Reincarnation Great Tao. Heavenly Cycle Body Tempering. Great Tao. Great Tao of Life and Death. Great Tao of Karma. His lifespan had nearly tripled. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju felt extremely lonely looking at this long string of nines. With such a long lifespan, who can pursue the Great Tao with me? He would give Great Nine Heavens 500 billion years of lifespan later. This would celebrate his breakthrough. 500 billion years was nothing to him. Hanju even wanted to give Great Nine Heavens 1 trillion years worth of curses. But he rejected this thought. He couldn't act recklessly. Once he developed a habit, it would be troublesome. Moreover, Great Nine Heavens was only a potential danger, and couldn't harm him for the time being. 3 years later, Hanju's cultivation stabilized at the mid-stage Zenith Heaven realm. He began to improve his various Sword Tao mystical powers, and spent another year. Hanju continued to cultivate the grand unity aspect. The inherited memories were indeed loosened. A memory of a mystical power surged into Hanju's mind. The third Fiend Celestial Dharma Idol. Wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. The great Tao of wind swept through everything. Every Fiend Celestial Dharma Idol represented a great Tao. However, Hanju couldn't directly cultivate his great Tao through them for the time being. He could only obtain their power. 5 years later, Hanju completely grasped wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. With the 3 Fiend Celestials combined, Hanju felt invincible. Heavenly Constellation Fiend Celestial, Nining Fiend Celestial, Wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. Hanju started the simulation trial. Against the Heavenly Emperor, insta-kill. Against Li Daokong, insta-kill. Against Shuemingi, insta-kill. Against the Demon Emperor, insta-kill. Against the Heavenly Tao Buddha, insta-kill. Against the Master of the Divine Palace, insta-kill. Killing them instantly was too satisfying. Once the 3 Fiend Celestial Dharma Idols appeared, no one else could compare to him. A Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal could fight for 10 million rounds in a breath. The so-called insta-kill was actually not necessarily a one-hit kill. Apart from a few mighty figures, Hanju could instantly kill anyone at the Zenith Heaven realm. Facing an existence with unknown cultivation, Hanju found it very difficult. Every pseudo-sage expert had their own great mystical powers and supreme treasures. They were difficult to kill in a short period of time. The battle often lasted for more than an hour, so Hanju couldn't be bothered to continue. In his opinion, if he couldn't defeat the enemy after an hour, it was no different from being defeated. If he really encountered such a situation, and the enemy had an accomplice, wouldn't he be in trouble? Hanju couldn't allow himself to encounter such a situation. Hanju tried to challenge Ancestor Shitian, but he died with a roar from the ladder. Everyone below the sages was an ant. Hanju didn't become upset. He occasionally tested himself against such extraordinary powers to raise his alertness. Then, he took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Nine Heavens. Heavenly Court, Imperial Garden. Great Nine Heavens and Feng Liang were discussing the calamity in the pavilion when his expression suddenly changed. Feng Liang asked, "What's wrong?" Great Nine Heavens said, "Nothing." He didn't dare to say that he was being cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord. If that was the case, how could he persuade Feng Liang? Several days later, Great Nine Heavens was in his room. He circulated his energy to heal his injuries, but the Dark Forbidden Lord's curse was becoming stronger and stronger. Why has this fellow's curse power become stronger again? Great Nine Heavens frowned. The uneasiness in his heart intensified. In the past, the Dark Forbidden Lord had only cursed for 5 days. This time, it came menacingly, and had already lasted for more than 5 days. The thought of Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's miserable outcome made him even more uneasy. No, he couldn't wait for death. Great Nine Heavens immediately jumped out of the 9th heaven and flew towards the 33rd heaven. Boom! Great Nine Heavens suddenly spat out blood from his 7 orifices. This blood was formed by his dermic powers, causing his essence to be greatly damaged. Oh no! I have to hurry up. Great Nine Heavens' expression changed drastically as he hurriedly penetrated the layers of heavenly Tao restrictions. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju saw that his lifespan had been deducted by 300 billion years and couldn't help but stop. No, I can't curse blindly like this. Hanju decided to give Great Nine Heavens a dream and let him develop hatred. Only then would he know his exact situation. Soon, the two of them entered the dream realm. The pale Great Nine Heavens saw the black shadow in front of him, and his expression instantly darkened. Dark Forbidden Lord. Upon seeing the other party's appearance, he immediately guessed his identity. He looked around and discovered that this was a dream. What mystical power is this? I didn't sense it before and was forcefully pulled in. Great Nine Heavens was terrified. From the looks of it, the Dark Forbidden Lord was definitely stronger than him. He had to eliminate him. Great Nine Heavens has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points: 5 stars. Hanju immediately ended the dream when he saw this line of words. In a huge palace, Great Nine Heavens suddenly woke up. A figure sat in front of him. His entire body was glowing with a strong light, making it impossible to see his true appearance. What happened just now? Why were you lost in thought? The strong figure asked. Great Nine Heavens replied. The Dark Forbidden Lord visited me in my dreams. Wait, did the sage not notice this just now? The reason why the Dark Forbidden Lord directly removed the dream was that he sensed a sage beside him? In an instant, Great Nine Heavens trembled. What kind of terrifying existence had he provoked? Could it be that the Dark Forbidden Lord was a sage? The reason why he did not dare to show himself was not because he was afraid of attracting endless trouble, but because it would damage his dignity. The more Great Nine Heavens thought about it, the more panicked he became. Oh, dream visit. The strong figure began to deduce with his fingers. The dream just now was too short, and the two of them didn't communicate earlier. So the strong figure didn't capture Hanju's mystical power. He couldn't deduce anything now. He didn't suspect that Great Nine Heavens was lying. Thus it could only mean one thing. The Dark Forbidden Lord was very strong. Which sage is secretly plotting something? The strong figure muttered. Great Nine Heavens was almost scared out of his wits. He was really a sage. Great Nine Heavens panicked when he thought of the terrifying scene of the Dark Forbidden Lord cursing him. Chapter 429 Feng Liang's Ambition. Fusang Tree Matures. Chapter 429 Feng Liang's Ambition. Fusang Tree matures. After dispelling the dream, Hanju continued cursing Great Nine Heavens. Because the previous session had just ended, his lifespan decreased after he began cursing again. 100 billion years of lifespan. 200 billion years of lifespan. It had already taken 500 billion years in total, but Great Nine Heavens was still fine. Hanju didn't believe in failure and continued cursing after spending another 50 billion years of his lifespan. Hanju finally saw an email. Your enemy Great Nine Heavens has developed mental demons because of your curse. Fortunately, the sage used his Tao voice to protect his mind. Sage. Hanju immediately put down the Book of Misfortune. No wonder there was no result with the curse. This fellow was actually hiding beside a sage. Great. I want to see if you can hide forever. Hanju thought silently, but his heart was bleeding. 500 billion years. How many times could he predict the future with this? Great. Hanju thought silently. I want to know which sage is protecting Great Nine Heavens. He didn't dare to curse a sage directly, but if he encountered this sage in the future, he would definitely stay far away and not be fooled. Sages spoke without emotions. It was difficult to guess their emotions and was very easy to scare others. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Cultivation Unknown. Heavenly Tao Sage, Sect Master of the Chan School. Immeasurable Emperor Sect Master of the Chan School. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Hanju wasn't surprised. After all, Great Nine Heavens was from the Chan School. The Chan school had always been mysterious. It was located in Kunlun, and they did not participate in the conflict. Occasionally, they could even organize a grand event and stir up a storm in the immortal world. It wasn't easy to weigh such a force. At least it was stronger than the intercepting sect. Previously, the Jie school had invaded the heavenly court and suffered a crushing defeat. The two couldn't be compared. Hanju stood up and stretched before walking out of the cave abode. He had just broken through, so he naturally had to treat the people around him well. Hanju decided to preach the Tao for 10 years. It was very rare for a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal to preach the Tao even in the immortal world. Heavenly Court Imperial Garden. Feng Liang and the Divine General sat opposite each other. Ji Xianxin was cultivating a mystical power not far away. The Divine General glanced at Ji Xianxin and asked, "Where's the Chan school's supremacy? He hasn't appeared recently. Are you going back on your word?" Feng Liang said, "I don't know what he's doing. We can't trust the Chan school completely. I've received information that the endless sea of blood is hiding a mighty figure of the devil race. I'm worried that the humans and the heavenly court will fight until the end, and the devil race will benefit from it. What does His Majesty want me to do? Call the heavenly god general, and lead 1,000,000 heavenly troops to reinforce the 3 emperors. Then the heavenly court. Don't worry, I have someone to teach you." "All right." Feng Liang nodded and gestured for the Divine General to leave. The Divine General immediately vanished. Feng Liang looked at Ji Xianxin and said, "Do you remember Zhou Fan? This kid is trapped in the endless sea of blood." Ji Xianxin said indifferently, "He's a traitor. Why should I remember him?" Feng Liang shook his head and laughed. "You can't say that he's a traitor. If the heavenly court loses, you can also join him. I've already told him." Hearing this, Ji Xianxin stopped and turned to look at him. He frowned and asked, "The heavenly court is so powerful, but it will still lose?" "The heavenly court is indeed powerful, but it is not united, and I am not the one who controls it. Do you understand?" "True. When the foundation of the tall building is all gone, won't the building still collapse? Those who live at the top of the building will suffer even more." Feng Liang looked melancholic. He no longer had the domineering aura from before. He felt that he was definitely the weakest heavenly emperor in history. It wasn't that his potential was poor, but that he had ascended too early and was facing the immeasurable calamity. If he was given time, he was confident that he could become the strongest heavenly emperor. Ji Xianxin said, "If you really can't, go back and find your grandmaster. He definitely has a way to protect you." Feng Liang smiled and said, "I know, but I want to fight. I don't want to wander around. We know best what we've suffered. Don't you want to stand at the peak of the world?" Unknowingly, he started speaking like before he became the heavenly emperor. It was as if he had returned to the past. Feng Liang. Ji Xianxin clenched his fists and cursed. "Of course I want to. If not for our bad luck, given 1,000,000 years, we would definitely be invincible." To be honest, other than Hanju, Ji Xianxin looked down on everyone. Even Feng Liang felt inferior to him. He should be the strongest existence. However, he encountered the immeasurable calamity. Let's wait and see. If the two of us succeed, we will be the players in the next immeasurable calamity. Feng Liang said in high spirits. His eyes burned as if he could see his grand ambitions being realized. Ji Xianxin smiled like a spring breeze. It was rare that he was not so overbearing. In the blink of an eye, another 40 years passed. On this day, Hanju had just finished cursing Great Nine Heavens when he walked out of the cave abode and came to the Fusang tree. Recently, he had sensed that the Fusang tree was producing Khanate Qi faster and faster. Something was happening. "How do you feel?" Hanju asked. The others looked at him. They didn't sense him walking out of the cave abode and couldn't help but be surprised. The Fusang tree replied, "I don't know why. I've been feeling warm recently, as if I'm about to break through." It did not sound pained but puzzled. Hanju raised his eyebrows. After this Fusang tree grew, it could connect to the myriad worlds in the universe. Could it be that it was about to succeed? Wasn't it going to take 1,000,000 years? Could it be that it referred to 1,000,000 years of the mortal world? But the spirit Qi in Hidden Sect Island had doubled and accelerated its growth. Hanju deduced with the derivation function. 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. The Fusang tree is about to mature. The rules of space and time are brewing. Hanju's eyes lit up. He was very curious about which world the Fusang tree would connect to. Hanju said, "You're about to grow up. At that time, you will connect to other worlds. You have to control it a little. Don't open the door of time and space rashly." The Fusang tree shook its branches and said, "Am I that powerful?" The others gathered around. Chu Shuren rubbed his chin and said, "The Fusang tree needs 1,000,000 years to grow. But the spirit chi in the island is even richer than the holy lands of the immortal world. It can indeed grow faster." Morongchi asked curiously, "Connect to other mortal worlds?" Chu Shuren shook his head and said, "Not necessarily. It might be an unknown world. Other than the myriad worlds below the immortal world, there are actually countless mysterious and unknown worlds hidden, just like the deity realm of the ruins of End and the ancient desolate that mighty figures often mention." Everyone began to discuss. Hanju was worried that it would attract a mighty figure and asked in his mind, "I want to know, will there be an existence stronger than me in the world that the Fusang tree is about to connect to? 1,000,000,000 years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." "Yes." Hanju's eyelids twitched. Fuck. Wasn't this sending an enemy to their doorstep? As long as the other party was stronger than Hanju, he could be an enemy and threaten his safety. Hanju had to be on guard. He asked, "Can you control the power in your body?" The Fusang tree replied, "No." When Hanju heard that, he immediately transferred Lu Bu and Ma Chao over to guard in front of the Fusang tree. Chapter 430 Kiliacosm World Li Muyi's Dream. Chapter 430 Kiliacosm World. Li Muyi's dream seeing Hanju transfer Lu Bu and Ma Chao over. Everyone couldn't help but become nervous. It was rare to see him in such a panic. Could it be that the world connected to the Fusang tree was not simple? Everyone was on high alert. Liao asked, "Sect Master, is it dangerous? Should we cut down the tree?" The Fusang tree shook violently. No. No. It shouted in fear. It felt that Liao was so terrifying. She actually wanted to cut it down immediately. Hanju was deep in thought. The black-held chicken glared at Liao and scolded. "If you cut it down, where will we stay?" The golden crow, Ada and Xiao Er nodded. Their nest was still on the Fusang tree, so they didn't want to cut it down. More and more disciples gathered. Hanju asked in his heart, "How long until the Fusang tree connects to other worlds?" 10,000,000 years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. 3,890 days. So precise? Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He left Lu Bu and Ma Chao at the Fusang tree and returned to his cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword suddenly followed him. After the two of them entered the cave abode, Hanju asked, "What is it?" Dao Comprehension Sword followed behind and chuckled. "Master, shouldn't you help me? I feel that I'm just a step away from reaching the Emperor realm." After learning the Heavenly Sword Dao Comprehension Sword's cultivation level had been advancing by leaps and bounds. Her potential was already very strong, and she was already very close to the Emperor realm. Hanju sat on the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus and sized her up. He said, "Your Heavenly Sword Dao is very strong, but not strong enough. If you become the strongest person below the Emperor realm in the next 100-year competition, I will personally help you reach the Emperor realm." Dao Comprehension Sword's expression changed slightly, but she did not refute. Instead, she promised, "All right, I will definitely do it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks." Hanju waved his hand and gestured for her to leave. Dao Comprehension Sword stood up and looked at him. She wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she still left. Hanju touched his face and muttered, "I almost forgot that my appearance is unparalleled. This grass has grown up and actually has improper thoughts about me." It seemed that his charm had increased. Hanju smiled and continued cultivating. 10 years later, Hanju couldn't sit still anymore. He felt that the Fusang tree could connect to other worlds at any time. Hanju couldn't cultivate in peace. Since it was not time yet, he would curse great nine heavens. After so many years, could this fellow still be by the sage's side? Wouldn't the sage find him annoying? Hanju cursed slowly. 5 days later, his lifespan began to decrease. Because he didn't inject much dermic power, the strength of the curse was average, so the speed at which his lifespan decreased was also slow. Finally, the Fusang tree matured. Hanju hurriedly put down the Book of Misfortune and teleported in front of it. The disciples of the hidden sect looked up. They were all very nervous. Hanju had transferred Lubu and Ma Chao over and was clearly waiting. His gaze landed on a branch of the Fusang tree. This branch was located in the middle of the Fusang tree and was connected to a silver vortex. It was dazzling. There! Hanju immediately brought the 2 guards to the silver vortex. He probed with his divine sense and passed through a long spatial tunnel. His divine sense broke through a cloud and mist and saw a vast world. This world was located in absolute darkness. It was like a bright sun that emitted endless light. Hanju felt many powerful auras and hurriedly retracted his divine sense. Hanju asked, "Can you close this world portal?" The Fusang tree replied, "No." Liao couldn't help but say, "Chop the tree." The others agreed. Of course, most of them were joking. The Fusang tree shivered in fear and shook off many leaves. Hanju asked in his mind, "Can the Dao field cover the entrance of this tunnel?" The Dao field could block the prying of the heavenly Dao. If it could block this entrance, how could the living beings on the other side discover it? Yes, Hanju heaved a sigh of relief when he saw a word appear in front of him. However, he was still worried. He looked at Ma Chao and said, "From today onwards, you will guard this place. No one is allowed to go through it." Ma Chao immediately accepted the order. Lubu was called back by Hanju and continued to guard the hidden sect island's beach. Hanju began to remind the others not to send their divine sense into the spatial vortex. There are many experts hidden in that world. There are even my enemies. Once they discover us, we will all die, Hanju said seriously. Everyone promised. Chu Shuren muttered to himself. Could it be the deity realm of the ruins of End? The Black Hell Chicken shouted. Master, Chu Shuren might act recklessly. Quickly lock him up. Swish. Everyone looked at Chu Shuren. Chu Shuren's expression changed drastically. He waved his hand and said, I'm just guessing. How can I act recklessly? Hanju looked at him suspiciously. Is this fellow very interested in the deity realm of the ruins of End? Sensing his gaze, cold sweat broke out on Chu Shuren's forehead. He hurriedly said, Grandmaster, don't listen to the stupid chicken. I don't want to go out. Really. If you don't believe me, let Ma Chao keep an eye on me. Hanju nodded at him and left. Chu Shuren heaved a sigh of relief and looked fiercely at the Black Hell Chicken. The Black Hell Chicken hid behind the Black Hell Demon Lord and said smugly, Who asked you to always interrupt our words? You sound like you know the most. Chu Shuren said angrily. You've never gone out. Isn't it good for me to let you broaden your horizons? The others hooted, feeling that the Black Hell Chicken was too annoying. It had to be said that Hanju's gaze was too intimidating. Even Jiangyi thought that Hanju wanted to suppress Chu Shuren just in case. Back in the cave abode, Hanju sat in the 36th grade reincarnation world Destruction Black Lotus and asked curiously, Which world is the Fusang tree connected to? 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A mere 100 million was really cheap. Kiliacosm world, a heavenly Tao world. It was created by the sage of the human school. Because of the immeasurable calamity, it was separated by the sage and hidden in the dark forbidden zone. It has a strong providence and is far from the heavenly Tao immeasurable calamity. It wasn't the deity realm of the ruins of End, but the Kiliacosm world created by the sage of the human school. Hanju was puzzled. Since the human school had its own world, why did it want to fight for providence in the immortal world? Could it be that the immortal world had some restriction on the heavenly Tao sages? Thinking about it carefully, ancestor Shitian, Dijuan, and other extraordinary existences did not seem to be interested in the immortal world or the heavenly Tao. Hanju was secretly glad that he didn't agree to Nua's request. It must have been a trap. Of course, to most living beings, becoming a heavenly Tao sage was a luxury and a fantasy. Hanju was still confident. If he was given time, he would surpass the heavenly Tao sages sooner or later. Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? A line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Li Muyi was the current sect master of the human school. But he was not a heavenly Tao sage. Why was he sending a dream? Could it be because Hanju had probed the Kiliacosm world with his divine sense? Hanju pretended not to see it. An hour later, Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Ignore. The next morning, Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Hanju was speechless. Did these sages not care about their reputation? So persistent. Chapter 431 Changes in 100 Years, Curses of a Sage. Chapter 431 Changes in 100 Years. Curses of a Sage. Li Muyi sent a dream to Hanju dozens of times before finally giving up. Li Muyi's hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points, 2 stars. What a willful sage. Hanju cursed silently, but he didn't take it to heart. 2 stars of hatred points was still at the level of having a bad impression and being annoyed. It had yet to reach the level of killing intent. Hanju made up his mind that he couldn't easily establish a relationship with the sage. It was too dangerous. He had to attain the Tao first. Time passed. Year after year passed. After the first space-time vortex appeared, the Fusang tree's cultivation speed became faster and faster. The Khanate chi it produced also increased, benefiting the entire Tao field. In the short term, the Fusang tree would not be able to grow a second spatial vortex. But according to the system's introduction, it would connect to the myriad worlds sooner or later. At that time, Hanju could use the Fusang tree as a hub and cross the myriad worlds. He could even create a holy land that stood above the myriad worlds, like the sage Tao field outside the 33rd heaven. This was a very distant plan. Before attaining the Tao, it was impossible for Hanju to create a holy land. It would attract countless troubles. Apart from the Fusang tree, another ball of fiend celestial qi had already appeared in Hanju's body. It was the same as the previous 2 balls, and was still being nurtured. It was unknown how many years it would take for it to become a chaotic fiend celestial. This was definitely a long wait. Perhaps the next immeasurable calamity would arrive by then. Hanju entered his cultivation schedule again, and absorbed the negative karma of the 36th grade reincarnation, world destruction Black Lotus every day. 100 years passed like a dream. Tao Comprehension Sword stepped into the Emperor realm, not long ago, after obtaining Hanju's inheritance. It couldn't be helped. Below the Emperor realm were the Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, and the others. It was normal that they couldn't defeat Tao Comprehension Sword. Hanju had basically opened a back door for her. After stepping into the Emperor realm, Tao Comprehension Sword was in high spirits. Chu Shuren was stimulated, and began to cultivate with all his might to break through to the Emperor realm. In the past 100 years, the war between humans and the Heavenly Court had become even more intense. Upon reading the emails, there were heavy injuries and attacks everywhere. It was unknown how much longer these 2 forces would fight. Fang Liang's cultivation had been increasing steadily, and had already reached the rank 5 Immortal Emperor realm. He was definitely cheating. Perhaps this was the benefit of the battle for Providence. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. No wonder so many living beings were crazy. On this day, Hanju suppressed the strange deity in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus, and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Great 9 Heavens. 100 years had passed. Great 9 Heavens should have already left the sage's side, right? Calculate. 2 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. If he had left, Hanju would have to invest 500 billion years of his lifespan. 2 billion was nothing. The sage is still beside him. Bastard. Did he want to stay there forever? Hanju cursed Great 9 Heavens for being shameless. In the endless palace, Great Nine Heavens, who was meditating, frowned and gritted his teeth. The dark forbidden lord is really persistent. Isn't he tired? Where did he go to capture so many living beings? Could he be rearing them? Great Nine Heavens cursed in his heart. He was extremely regretful. If he had known earlier, he definitely wouldn't have provoked the dark forbidden lord. Which sage was it? Didn't he find this degrading? Great Nine Heavens was filled with hatred. The sage South Extreme Heavenly Venerate asked, "Is the dark forbidden lord cursing you again?" Great Nine Heavens sighed. "That's right. I don't know what to do either." The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said faintly, "Among the sages, only the one from the Western Buddhist sect is so petty." Great Nine Heavens widened his eyes and asked in surprise, "But I'm not targeting the Buddhist sect. Although Jade Emperor Zhou Yan has also challenged the Buddhist sect, he fought with them first." The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said calmly, "Perhaps he had no choice but to agree because of someone's plea. A long time ago, the sages had a bet. The Chan school won. So they obtained a chance for Jade Emperor Zhou Yan to win Great Providence. For some reason, the sages from all over seemed to have changed their minds. Fuxishan even personally entered. How strange." Great Nine Heavens did not reply. He didn't dare to express his opinion regarding the matters between sages. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate waved his right hand, and a beam of light appeared in front of him, condensing into an old figure. "Tao Ancestor, how difficult has this calamity become?" the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate asked. Great Nine Heavens hurriedly kowtowed to the ground, not daring to look at the Tao Ancestor. The Tao Ancestor replied, "If a sage enters the calamity, the heavenly Tao will be in danger." The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate frowned. He immediately waved his hand, causing the Tao Ancestor's illusion to vanish. Great Nine Heavens looked up and asked carefully, "Isn't Tao Ancestor?" The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate replied, "This is the Tao Ancestor's Dharma idol. It can guide the sages, but we can only ask about the general trend and cannot sever the fate of the sages and all living beings." Great Nine Heavens was enlightened. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said, "From today onwards, you will stay in the Tao field. I will arrange for others to enter the calamity." Great Nine Heavens felt relieved and hurriedly thanked him. He indeed did not dare to enter the calamity again. The Dark Forbidden Lord was still staring at him. "I have to find the one from the Western Buddhist sect." The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate stood up. Great Nine Heavens asked nervously, "When will you return?" The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate glanced at him and said, "When meeting a sage, you must bow to me. The Dark Forbidden Lord won't dare to enter the Tao field. As for the curse, the Tao field will also help you isolate it. Don't worry, I'll be back soon." Great Nine Heavens could only nod. Inside the Khanate cave abode, 5 days had passed since the curse. Hanju's lifespan began to decrease. He looked worried. If this Great Nine Heavens continued to hide in South Extreme Heavenly Venerate's Tao field, wouldn't he be unable to kill the other party? No. The hatred was already very high, and this fellow would harm the Heavenly Emperor. He had to kill him. Should I calculate? What if he just happened to leave? Hanju thought. Even if it was once. No, he could only put it aside for the time being. Therefore, Hanju spent another 2 billion years of his lifespan. The sage is not beside him. Hanju suddenly widened his eyes. His chance was here. "I'll kill you now." Hanju immediately cursed with all his might, causing his lifespan to decrease rapidly. Far away, Great Nine Heavens' expression changed drastically. Oh no, this fellow was definitely a sage. The moment the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate left, he started cursing him? If this was not a sage, what was? Great Nine Heavens hurriedly circulated his energy to resist the curse. Violent winds stirred in the Tao field. Countless waves surged into Great Nine Heavens and transformed into a mysterious power that helped him resist the curse. However, the curse was stronger than ever. The Dark Forbidden Lord wanted to kill him. Crap! Great Nine Heavens shouted, "Master, save me." Although the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate had left, as long as he called, he believed that he could hear it. "I'm trapped by sages. I can't help you for the time being. Try your best to live." The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate's voice was filled with anger. Great Nine Heaven's face instantly turned pale. No wonder the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate had not returned for several days. It was all a trap. The sages had deliberately lured the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate out to kill Great Nine Heavens? Why? This didn't make sense. Chapter 432 900 Billion Years of Rage. Primordial Devil Ancestor. Chapter 432 900 Billion Years of Rage. Primordial Devil Ancestor 200 billion years. 300 billion years. 400 billion years. 500 billion years. Hanju's eyes turned red. This time, he was determined to kill Great Nine Heavens. Because of him, the Heavenly Emperor had been possessed by an inferior strange deity. Now, he had even fallen into a state where he was neither god nor ghost. It was also this fellow who helped Jade Emperor Zhou Yin win providence and slaughter all living beings. If not for Hanju changing the calamity, the people around him might have died in the other party's hands. He had to die. Hanju didn't have many direct enemies, but as long as it threatened the lives of the people around him, he wouldn't let it go. This time, he wanted to break through the limits of his curse. 600 billion years. Because of your curse, your enemy Great Nine Heavens has developed mental demons. Great Nine Heavens' hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points. 6 stars 700 billion years. Hanju finally felt a little dizzy, but it was nothing. Because of your curse, your enemy Great Nine Heavens suffered from mental demons. His dermic powers surged, and his zenith heaven Dao fruit shattered. 800 billion years. Go and die. Hanju was about to go mad. Why was this fellow so hard to kill? How much lifespan had he spent cursing zenith heaven existences? Could this fellow be the number one among the pseudo-sages? 900 billion years. Because of your curse, your enemy Great Nine Heavens suffered a backlash to his soul. His Dao heart collapsed and he perished. He died. Hanju immediately stopped. His forehead was covered in a cold sweat. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. He was sweating as a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. If news of this spread, it would probably become a huge joke. Hanju checked his interpersonal relationships. Great Nine Heaven's portrait had disappeared. He was really dead. He put down the Book of Misfortune and heaved a sigh of relief. 900 billion years. Although Hanju's heart ached, he felt that it was worth it. If he didn't kill this potential enemy, it would definitely be extremely troublesome in the future. Hanju didn't want powerful enemies to appear in front of him. He wanted to kill them before they appeared. The enemy who could appear in front of him was definitely someone he could insta-kill. Otherwise, it would be unstable. Great Nine Heavens is dead. The future of the calamity will definitely change, but I don't have to calculate. I'm far from the calamity now. I can calculate it when the world changes. Hanju thought silently. He had always been changing the calamity, so the outcome would always change. Unless he stopped, the future would change. What Hanju needed to do was to wait for a future that he was satisfied with. However, it was obvious that a sage was pushing for the calamity. Previously, a future that satisfied him had also appeared, but it still changed. Now Hanju didn't expect to predict the future. He only hoped to eliminate potential enemies through it. With Great Nine Heaven's death, Hanju didn't know who to curse now. Hao Tian was originally on his curse list, but ever since he and Long Hao fused, he couldn't curse him anymore. Anyway, Hao Tian didn't have any hatred towards Hanju, and couldn't threaten the Heavenly Emperor now. Forget it. It's good that there's no one to curse. I can cultivate peacefully. Hanju thought silently. Great Nine Heaven's death did not cause any trouble, because in the immortal world he was a nobody. A pseudo-sage died silently. No one knew. It was so tragic. With no enemies to curse, Hanju focused on cultivating 23 years later. A reaction came from the chaotic domain. Someone was calling him. Hanju jumped into the chaotic domain, and the strange deity followed. Hanju discovered that there was another person in the chaotic domain. Apart from Dao Sovereign and Zhao Xianyuan, another person arrived. This person looked familiar. Wait, Hanju hurriedly checked the emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan has absorbed the essence of the endless sea of blood. His body has transformed, and he has obtained the chaotic physique. That worked too? Even if you're a sage, you can't cheat like this, right? Why didn't the heavenly Tao strike him with lightning? Hanju cursed silently. Tao Sovereign, and the other two hurriedly came over. He was the first to speak. This is the strongest prodigy who often saved us. What strongest prodigy? Hanju didn't dare to accept this title. There must be a trap. He didn't acknowledge Zhou Fan. The four of them could only see each other's figures, and could not see their true faces. It had been thousands of years, so Zhou Fan naturally didn't recognize Hanju. After all, his Dharma treasures had been changed. Coupled with his clothes, his figure looked very different from before. Greetings, senior. Zhou Fan said respectfully, his tone a little excited. This was a supreme domain. Under the heavenly Tao, only the four of them had the chaotic physique. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were the four with the greatest talent. How could Zhou Fan not be excited to join such a circle? Hanju nodded slightly and asked in an extremely indifferent voice. Did something happen again? Zhao Xianyuan lowered his head in embarrassment. Hanju's heart skipped a beat. Really? Aren't you afraid of death? Tao Sovereign coughed and said. Ever since the endless sea of blood, we followed the traces of the devil race, and found the world created by the primordial devil ancestor. After the calamity failed, the primordial devil ancestor actually didn't die. Instead, he learned from giant god Pangu and created a world. We were trapped by a spell, Hanju interrupted. Where's the supreme treasure fragment that we talked about last time? It's already been given to Heavenly Emperor Fong. You can take it at any time. What about this time? We discovered a lotus throne. It's one of the Heavenly Tao supreme treasures. We can give it to you. So generous? Could it be that you can't use it? I'm ashamed. We can't use it. But we can't leave it to the primordial devil ancestor. Otherwise, the heavens will be in trouble. Heh, how righteous. Hanju ridiculed in his head and said, All right, I'll help you send a message to Heavenly Emperor Fong. Thank you. Tao Sovereign thanked him. Hanju went off. Zhou Fan couldn't help but ask, Who is this senior? For some reason he felt familiar to him. Tao Sovereign said calmly, I'm not sure either. The previous Heavenly Emperor hid him very well. The new Heavenly Emperor Fong also admires him greatly. He must be a peerless mighty figure, who cultivated the chaotic physique with the highest dermic powers. Back then, I still underestimated him. I didn't expect him to save me so many times. How ironic. Zhou Fan was even more curious now. Zhao Xianyuan said, Taoist brother, how about I join the senior after I return? Tao Sovereign glanced at him and asked, What do you mean? Zhao Xianyuan smiled bitterly. I'm a little weak. You guys are too. Tao Sovereign was extremely daring, and Zhou Fan was simply a madman. Zhao Xianyuan felt that he wasn't on the same page as them. He was so talented and had a powerful background. There was no need to risk his life. Instead, he was very interested in Hanju. He had a feeling that joining Hanju was the greatest opportunity. After this matter is over, you can do whatever you want. Tao Sovereign snorted, feeling rather dissatisfied. Hanju took out the Heavenly Tao token and contacted Fong Liang. After Fong Liang learned of this, he was greatly shocked. Have they gone mad? They actually provoked the primordial devil ancestor. No immortal god in the heavenly court can save them. So you can't save them? Of course. It's fine. Let them die. Hanju shook his head. They were really asking for it. However, with Zhou Fan around, the three of them probably wouldn't die. Fong Liang said, I've already brought the supreme treasure Tao Sovereign promised you. Do you want to come and take it? I'll use the invocation technique to invite you. Don't worry, it won't waste your time. Chapter 433 Hanju battles the Human School's duo. Chapter 433 Hanju battles the Human School's duo. Hanju didn't agree immediately. He asked cautiously, If I go to Fong Liang's side now, will my life be in danger? There would definitely be danger, so as long as it did not involve his life, it was fine. 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Not for the time being. Hanju immediately replied, all right. Feng Liang began to use his mystical power. Soon, a black vortex appeared in front of Hanju. He stepped in. Immortal world, heavenly court numinous palace. Feng Liang stood up and looked at the black vortex floating in the hall. He couldn't help but become nervous. After not seeing Hanju for many years, the other party's image in his heart became more and more mysterious. A figure stepped out of the black vortex. He wore a heavenly constellation Great Tao robe and had a golden seal domain blood belt wrapped around his waist. He wore the Constitution mystic boots, and his body was wrapped in the heavenly envy cloud silk. He looked extremely spirited. Who else could it be but Hanju? Even Feng Liang, who was already the heavenly emperor, couldn't help but be stunned when he saw him. As expected of Grandmaster, even if his soul passed through the primordial era, Feng Liang had never seen a man more handsome than Hanju. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that under the heavenly Tao, even the most beautiful woman was inferior to him. Hanju landed on the ground, and Feng Liang hurriedly bowed. Where is it? Hanju asked directly. He was expressionless, but he was nervous inside. He directly checked the strongest person nearby. Li Daokong. Late stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm. Eldest disciple of the human school. Gasp, this fellow has already reached the late stage of the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Too fast. Hanju was secretly shocked. At the same time, he copied Li Daokong's cultivation, so he could be an opponent in the simulation trial. Feng Liang raised his hand, and a white jade fragment appeared on his palm. Hanju took the treasure and placed it on his sleeve. Then, he turned around and walked towards the black vortex. Grandmaster, aren't you going to stay for a while? Feng Liang hurriedly shouted. This was too fast. Hanju said, what's the matter? Feng Liang said helplessly, this is the heavenly court. I'm the heavenly emperor. What danger is there? If there's danger here, won't the heavenly court be destroyed? I just want to chat with you, Grandmaster. Hanju looked at his tired face and agreed. An hour at most. No problem. Feng Liang was pleasantly surprised. He hurriedly took out a throne and placed it beside the heavenly emperor's seat. The two of them sat down. Feng Liang began to talk about the heavenly court's development over the years. The heavenly court had been fighting with the humans and recruiting immortals overseas. After so many years, not only did the number of heavenly troops not decrease, but it also continued to increase. There were countless living beings in the immortal world. As the calamity progressed, more and more living beings couldn't be left alone and had to enter the calamity. Feng Liang said, the entire immortal world is filled with negative karma now. I don't know how long it can last. The true calamity is about to descend. Hanju asked, if the heavenly court is defeated, will you? Feng Liang shook his head and said, perhaps, but the heavenly court won't lose because many mighty figures are supporting it. If the humans are defeated, it's already impossible to escape. Even if the heavenly court wins, I might not be able to sit firmly on the heavenly emperor's throne. Feng Liang knew very well that his heavenly emperor position was only temporary, meant to use him as a target board. Hanju was silent. He couldn't give an opinion on Feng Liang's choice. He couldn't enter the calamity for him. At this moment, Hanju felt two powerful auras approaching. He immediately stood up and said, someone's here. I'm leaving. Hanju immediately walked towards the black vortex in the air. A terrifying gust of wind blew over. Where are you going? Li Xianeo's voice sounded. Hanju quickened his pace and stepped into the black vortex. In a flash, Li Xianeo suddenly appeared behind him and reached out to grab him. Hanju raised his eyebrows. This fellow was only at the 6th mystic divine origin realm. How could he be so fast? The human school's mystical power? Hanju raised his hand and struck with the great freedom heaven imprisoning palm. Li Xianeo's expression changed drastically, and he subconsciously raised his sword to block. Wait, we have no ill intentions. Li Daokong's voice sounded, and Hanju immediately heard him. He stopped. The great freedom heaven imprisoning palm stopped in front of Li Xianeo. The terrifying pressure blew his long hair, leaving him stunned. So strong. Hanju narrowed his eyes and looked over. Li Daokong transformed into a shadow and flew into the hall. Fang Liang was dumbfounded. He knew that Hanju was very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong that Li Xian'eo would panic. Li Daokong stopped and kept a distance from Hanju. He sized him up with a burning gaze and said, "You're actually already a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Did you receive guidance from a sage?" He still remembered Hanju. Other than him, no one else made him want to take in a disciple. Hanju smiled and said, "Senior Li, long time no see." He didn't answer Li Daokong's question. It was easy to be suspected. The result of answering yes was that he would ask which sage it was again. The trouble was endless. Hanju said, "Continue chatting. I'll go back first." "Wait, we're not enemies. What are you afraid of?" Li Daokong called him. Hanju said, "It's been many years. I'm afraid of strangers." Li Xian'eo stared at him, as if he wanted to eat him. Fortunately, this fellow didn't increase his hatred towards him. Otherwise, Hanju would definitely teach him a lesson when he returned. Li Daokong smiled and said, "Join our human school. You can choose not to acknowledge me as your master. We can be fellow disciples. My master is very interested in you." "Li Mui, that petty person?" Hanju said, "Let's talk after the calamity ends. It's too dangerous now. I don't dare to interact with any of you." Li Xian'eo couldn't help but say, "The calamity won't affect the foundation of our human school. We're a sage sect. Joining us is your opportunity." Hanju glanced at him and asked, "How have you been all these years?" Li Xian'eo snorted. "Wonderful." He felt bitter inside. Actually, it wasn't wonderful at all. It was torturous. As Hanju looked at Li Daokong and said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, Senior Li. Goodbye." With that, he suddenly entered the black vortex. Li Daokong's eyes flashed as he charged into the black vortex. A sword chi suddenly swept out and sent him flying. The sword chi rushed out of the numinous palace and cut the sea of clouds in half. The black vortex shrank. Li Daokong landed in the hall, slightly moved. Fang Liang widened his eyes. Li Xian'eo turned around and asked, "Senior, you can't catch up to him?" Li Daokong did not answer. His right hand trembled slightly. What a domineering sword chi. This kid has already caught up to me. Although Li Daokong was careless just now, it was still very impressive that Hanju could force him back with a single strike. Fang Liang noticed Li Daokong's right hand, and his heart churned. How strong is Grandmaster now? Inside the Khanate cave abode, after the black vortex shrank, Hanju spent 100 million years of lifespan to ask if anyone had followed him to discover the hidden sect island. The answer was, not for the time being. Li Daokong's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Why did his favorability increase? Hanju was surprised. He thought that Li Daokong was an extremely prideful person and would challenge him endlessly once he lost. Chapter 434 Fang Liang's Confusion. Endless Dream Attempts. Chapter 434 Fang Liang's Confusion. Endless dream attempts. After adjusting his state of mind, Hanju started the simulation trial. The target was naturally Li Daokong. The previous Li Daokong of the simulation trial was Li Daokong of the Great Ultimate Hall. He was far inferior to his current self. 5 minutes later, Hanju opened his eyes. He sighed. "Li Daokong, I'm willing to call you the number 1 in the Zenith Heaven realm." This fellow was really strong. Other than his terrifying sword techniques, he also had the protection of a supreme treasure. If not for the fact that Hanju had 3 fiend celestial Dharma idols, he really wouldn't have been able to kill him. Not only was Li Daokong difficult to fight, but he could also hurt Hanju during the battle. This was different from his previous battles. The current Hanju was unparalleled under a pseudo-sage. Even a pseudo-sage could only fight with him. Pseudo-sage wasn't a sage after all. It was just a word. But there was a huge difference. Hanju continued the simulation trial, wanting to find a way to insta-kill Li Daokong. The time needed for the battle was naturally different. Everyone had flaws, regardless of cultivation level. Several days later, Hanju still couldn't find a way to insta-kill Li Daokong. It would take at least 3 minutes. Hanju's fighting spirit rose. His goal was to insta-kill Li Daokong. Li Daokong's speed of becoming stronger was visible to the naked eye. While Hanju became stronger, he also became stronger. It could even be said that he became stronger rapidly. Hanju no longer used the simulation trial. Instead, he took out the jade piece that Feng Liang gave him. Could it be a fragment of the Tao ancestors' jade slip of creation? Hanju thought expectantly that this was the return gift from helping Tao sovereign seek help. His divine sense probed the jade slip, and he felt a powerful restriction blocking him. He tried his best, but he couldn't break through. No wonder Tao sovereign had given it to him. He couldn't use it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Hanju had to use the derivation function. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? 3 billion years. This was equivalent to the value of a heavenly Tao sage. Amazing. He had to spend it. The words in front of Hanju changed, and an introduction appeared. Divine Jade of the Ruins of End. An incomplete Great Tao Supreme Treasure. Legend has it that the deity realm of the Ruins of End is formed by the Great Tao. The Tao ancestor controls the deity realm of the Ruins of End, and uses the heavenly Tao to eliminate the Great Tao. This Great Tao will transform into 7 pieces of divine jade. Obtain one, and you can freely travel through the deity realm of the Ruins of End, without being restricted by the Khanate restrictions. By gathering all 7 pieces of the divine jade, you can awaken the Great Tao and control the deity realm of the Ruins of End. Wasn't this just a key? It was useless now. A little disappointed, Hanju could only put down the divine jade of the Ruins of End. He had heard of the deity realm of the Ruins of End many times, but he wasn't very interested. To put it bluntly, it was another immortal world. The threshold was extremely high, and would definitely be more dangerous. If Hanju cultivated to a sage, and became invincible in the immortal world, he would definitely stay in the immortal world, and not go to the stronger deity realm of the Ruins of End. It wasn't easy for him to cultivate to the highest level in the world. If he went to a higher level world before he even enjoyed it, wouldn't he be asking for trouble? Every time Hanju read fantasy novels in the past, the protagonist would change locations all the time. It made him tired. How could there be so many choices in life? He should avoid trouble and stop whenever he wanted to. Hanju thought as he cultivated. As he got older, he would often recall some trivial matters from his previous life. Perhaps it was because he had few experiences in this life. It was boring and not as exciting as a mortal life. However, he didn't regret it. He was even glad that he had taken every step so cautiously. Nothing was more important than living. Numinous Palace. Immortal gods gathered, and the atmosphere was solemn. Feng Liang sat expressionlessly as he scanned everyone in the hall. The heavenly god general broke the silence. Fuxician's Dharma idol is a pseudo-sage. If you want to deal with him, you must ask the sage for help, or ask the vice-sect masters of the various sects to help. The immortals said, Fuxician is a sage. He actually personally took action. Damn it, he's a sage's Dharma idol. Even ordinary pseudo-sages are not his match. Indeed, isn't the heavenly court supported by sages? If we want to eliminate the human race, we have to suppress Fuxician. Feng Liang did not reply. He looked at Li Daokong. Li Daokong said calmly, Junior, go to the human school and invite Senior to help. Li Xianao frowned. He was dissatisfied, but he still obediently turned around and left. Li Daokong kept shouting at him in public. He wasn't giving him face. Why aren't you inviting him yourself? After Li Xianao left, the immortals relaxed. Since someone from the human school had made a move, they didn't have to die now. No more attacks are allowed at the front line. Wait for the mighty figures of the human school to arrive. Feng Liang said and waved his sleeve. The immortals bowed and left. Or soon, only Feng Liang and Li Daokong were left in the hall. Feng Liang looked at Li Daokong with a puzzled expression. Li Daokong asked, Where is your grandmaster? How did you invite him last time? Feng Liang was silent. Li Daokong continued, I have no ill intentions. I just want to spar with him. I have a good impression of him. To be honest, it's rare for me to be so interested in someone. Wouldn't it be great if I could become his confidant? Fong Liang cursed silently. Great my ass. Do you think I want to curry favor with your human school? Fong Liang smiled helplessly. I really don't know. I used a mystical power last time. I can only summon the ancestor and can't sense him. I can't control his will even if he comes. Li Daokong frowned. He couldn't forget Hanju's strike. It was extremely casual but oppressive. In the Sword Dao, other than sages, Li Daokong rarely encountered such an opponent. He was very excited because Hanju wanted to study the Sword Dao again. Fong Liang said, "You can visit my grandmaster after the calamity ends. You should know that my grandmaster is avoiding the calamity. That's why he doesn't dare to interact with you." Li Daokong could only give up. He turned around and left. After he left, Fong Liang's eyes were filled with confusion. What kind of existence is grandmaster? Back then, I wanted to give him a fortuitous encounter. But I was obstructed by the great Tao of destiny. Could it be that he can already control his past and future? Fong Liang thought silently. After transcending the primordial era several times, he had changed the fate of many mighty figures, and even affected sages. But he couldn't affect Hanju. What did this mean? Hanju was at least a sage, perhaps even stronger. Fong Liang couldn't help but question his Tao heart. Was there really a need for him to take risks like this? Would it be better to follow Hanju? If not for Hanju changing his fate for him, how could he have become the son of heaven and earth, and even be chosen by a sage? The more Fong Liang thought about it, the more confused he became. He thought of Morongqi. He wondered who would be stronger the next time he met him. Another 30 years passed in Hanju's cultivation. On this day, Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Again, Hanju chose to ignore it. Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Then the notification popped up crazily. One every minute. Hanju was convinced. Was this old fellow messing around? But then again, if he only accepted the dream, would it expose the Tao field? Hanju decided to derive it. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. The Tao field is located in the dark forbidden zone. Sages can't lock onto it. It's impossible even with the connection of the dream entering mystical power. Chapter 435 5 Great Heavenly Tao Sages. Chapter 435 5 Great Heavenly Tao Sages. Oh, the dark forbidden zone could even isolate sages. Hanju didn't immediately accept Li Muyi's dream. 2-star hatred points was there. Once Li Muyi asked him for something, if he rejected, the hatred points would definitely increase. Instead of that, it was better to leave it hanging. If he was a sage, he would only suspect himself and not the other party. How could anyone resist the mystical power of a sage? Hanju wasn't a sage. After thinking it through, he was relieved. Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Li Muyi wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Even if Hanju closed his eyes, he could still see the system notification, so it was very annoying. How is this a sage? Too unreasonable. Previously, Niwa and Dijuan did not do it so frequently. Hanju could only endure. After more than half a year, Li Muyi finally gave up. Hanju cursed him in his heart. This sage didn't act like a sage. What did the founder of the human school teach him? I want to know, why is Li Mu looking for me? Hanju asked in his heart. 4 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Let's check just in case. Hanju's consciousness entered the illusion. He came to the sage's palace. The sage's Tao field had a characteristic, which was that it was huge. The hall was endless and seemed to be a world of its own. ESWER. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. In was 3 figures were gathered. One of them was Li Muyi. The other 2 figures were also sage-like and unfathomable. Hanju felt that these sages looked similar. They all wore Taoist robes and had bright hair. Their temperament was otherworldly. One of them was the sect master of the Chan school, the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate. Hanju remembered him as Great Nine Heavens backer. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said, Fuxician personally entered the calamity. This is already a very strong signal. I suspect that Fuxi and Yuhua have already colluded with the one from the Western Buddhist sect. I've already been suppressed by 3 sages, but I'm not sure who attacked. Li Muyi frowned and asked, They're all sages. Why don't you know their identities? South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said coldly, Their bodies are wrapped in chaotic qi that hides their fate. The third sage, who had not spoken yet, said slowly, Prepare for battle. The 3 schools of the Dao sect should also join forces. Someone is clearly behind this calamity. They want to overturn the 3 schools of the Dao sect, and even overturn the Dao ancestors' providence. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate snorted. The Chan school, the Jie school, and the human school were all created by the personal disciples of the Dao ancestor. These sages really planned to destroy the Dao ancestor? He has only disappeared for a few calamities, but they want to overturn his lineage? Dream on. The 3 sect masters began to discuss countermeasures. Hanju listened from the side. Many unknown names were involved. He didn't understand them. Anyway, they were all schemes. Li Muyi talked about Hanju. The other sages also want to form a good relationship with this variable. We have to act quickly. Senior brother Li, your disciple has the most karma with him. Contact him again. The sect master of the Jie school said. Li Muyi nodded, but his expression was not good. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate asked curiously, Could this variable be hiding in the dark forbidden zone? The sect master of the Jie school said, That should be the case. It's not that easy to contact him. The scene shattered. Hanju's consciousness returned to reality. He looked worried. They all wanted to rope him in. This was not good. No matter who Hanju chose, he would definitely offend all the other heavenly Dao sages. It was all the Dao ancestors' fault. What variable was he? I'm just an ordinary Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. How can I reverse the immeasurable calamity by myself? Hanju laughed at himself. At most, I cursed the enemy behind his back. After understanding the reason, Hanju stopped thinking and focused on cultivating. Time passed quickly. Life was like a dream. 26 years passed. On this day, Hanju received Li Muyi's dream again. He ignored it. After 3 months, Li Muyi finally gave up. When Hanju thought that he could relax, South Extreme Heavenly Venerate tried to visit him in his dreams. Hanju also ignored him. A month later, another sage sent him a dream. Sect Master Tianju sent you a dream. Do you accept it? Hanju ignored the message, and then spent 3 billion years to understand this fellow's background. Sect Master Tianju, cultivation unknown. Heavenly Dao Sage, Sect Master of the Jie School, Immeasurable Emperor. Because he wants to establish good karma with you. He wishes to visit you in your dreams. Sect Master of the Jie School. Hanju smiled bitterly. He would definitely offend some sages in the future. Currently, the known Heavenly Dao sages were the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Yuhua, and Fuxician. Li Muyi wasn't a Heavenly Dao sage, but he wanted to stir up trouble. There was something wrong with him. Hanju wanted to see which other sages would try to visit him in his dreams. 3 years later, Qiushilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Again, Hanju spent another 3 billion years deriving his identity. Qiushilai, cultivation unknown. Heavenly Dao Sage, Sect Master of the Western Buddhist sect, Immeasurable Emperor. Because he wants to build a good relationship with you. He wishes to visit you in your dreams. Sect Master of the Buddhist sect? Hanju was secretly nervous. He had killed a Buddha, and naturally didn't dare to have anything to do with the Buddhist sect. Something that made him speechless happened. Qiushilai was even more annoying than Li Muyi. In just a day, he sent a dream more than 10,000 times. Hanju almost exploded. Was this fellow insane? So annoying. In the next few days, Qiushilai became even more exaggerated. The news notifications dazzled Hanju. He even wanted to take out the Book of Misfortune and curse him. If not for the difference in cultivation, Hanju would definitely have killed him. Sometimes killing intent came very suddenly. When Qiu Shilai stopped trying to visit his dreams, Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. What was wrong with these sages? Could it be that they wanted to fight? Already 5 heavenly Dao sages couldn't hold back. It was unknown who the remaining 4 were. Another 10 years passed. Hanju checked his emails while cultivating. Your good friend Zhou Fan has obtained the inheritance of the primordial devil ancestor. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by human cultivators. X3228. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor has devoured negative karma, and his cultivation has increased greatly. Your grand disciple Long Hao was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure, and was severely injured. Your good friend Dao Sovereign was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your good friend Huang Zuantian has cursed too many people, and obtained a huge amount of heavenly Dao negative karma. Your good friend Jing Tiangong was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by a heavenly court Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. X7 Zhou Fan was really Zhou Fan. He had escaped death, and obtained an opportunity. Hanju noticed Huang Zuantian's situation. Was this fellow also cursing someone? How tragic. Without a supreme treasure, how can you curse people? It had been a while since he told Huang Zuantian to be a spy. Should he contact him? This fellow was already an immortal emperor, and had even become the vice-sect master of the Jie school. He was even more ferocious than some of Hanju's disciples. Most importantly, Huang Zuantian's favorability towards him did not decrease. He would wait a little longer. Recently the sages had come down. Perhaps Huang Zuantian was being watched by them. Hanju suspected that the reason why Huang Zuantian was so recognized by the Jie school was probably related to him. The Jie school's sage wanted to rope him in, to begin with. It was impossible for him to not notice that he had karma with Huang Zuantian. There were only so many people involved with Hanju's karma. It was no coincidence that everyone who went out was doing well. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.